Chapter 2398. Not only was Hidden Flower arrogant, but she also seemed to have some opinions about Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao didn't quite understand. He had never seen this person before. How had he offended this old witch? When No Light in the Night heard this, he couldn't help but smile. He knew that with Ling Xiao's temper, it was impossible for him to not talk back. Perhaps there would be a good show to watch today. Sure enough, Ling Xiao stood up and cupped his hands at Hidden Flower. Does Elder Hidden Flower have some opinions about this junior? Otherwise, this junior had defeated Sha Diyun in front of so many people, fair and square, without cheating at all. How could it be different from what you said? Could it be that this junior has offended Elder Hidden Flower? If that's really the case, why don't Elder Hidden Flower say it? If it's reasonable, this junior will change. His words were neither servile nor overbearing, and he wasn't impulsive. Impudent. I've long heard that you're daring and reckless. Now you actually dare to contradict this elder? Could it be that you think this elder will also indulge you just because Dark Night Formless indulges you? Hidden Flower suddenly slammed the table and stood up. Today this elder will teach you what rules are. Elder Sister Hidden Flower, you should sit down. Is it worth it for you to teach a disciple who just entered Upper 8 Immortal Mountain a lesson? Aren't you afraid that others will say you're taking advantage of your seniority? No Light in the Night smiled. In my opinion, it's easy for you to teach him the rules of being a person. There are people of the same generation here. Any one of them can teach him a lesson, right? He didn't want Ling Xiao to die. If Hidden Flower made a move, something would definitely happen to Ling Xiao. However, he also wanted to force Ling Xiao to beg him, so he had to make Ling Xiao suffer a bit. The best way was to let the Dark Race's disciples of Upper 8 Immortal Mountain deal with Ling Xiao, so that Ling Xiao would know the huge advantage of Upper 8 Immortal Mountain compared to Lower 8 Immortal Mountain. Then, after being taught a lesson, he would naturally come to beg him. At that time, he would take Ling Xiao as his adopted son. Wouldn't that be perfect? No Light in the Night is right. Sister, you're an elder, and Ling Xiao didn't do anything wrong, so there's no need for you to do it yourself. How about this? Fei Tian, you take action on behalf of your aunt, Hidden Flower. Nightwalker's words sounded like he was upholding justice. However, in Ling Xiao's ears, this was clearly an opportunity for his precious son to teach him, Ling Xiao, a lesson. Since father said so, then let me do it. Don't worry, aunt, I will teach him a lesson. Because of the Lin Ruoxian incident, and Fei Tian had long disliked Ling Xiao. Today was the perfect opportunity. He wanted to teach Ling Xiao a lesson and let Ling Xiao know that he and Fei Tian was not someone to be trifled with. He wanted to make sure that Ling Xiao would never dare to steal his woman again. Take it easy. Just let him know the rules. Don't beat him to death. No Light in the Night said lightly. His words were a warning and also a contempt for Ling Xiao. He believed that Ling Xiao had no chance in front of Fei Tian. Don't worry, Elder Wukong. I'll give you face. As long as he can take one move from me, I'll let him go. Of course, I won't use my full strength for this move. I'll use half of my strength. And Fei Tian also did not take Ling Xiao seriously. In the eyes of the inner disciples of the Upper 8 Immortal Mountain, those in the Lower 8 Immortal Mountain were a bunch of trash. Even the geniuses in the Lower 8 Immortal Mountain were worthless here. Ling Xiao, do you dare to take this move from me? And Fei Tian stood up and beckoned Ling Xiao with his finger. Boss, just admit defeat. That kid clearly wants to use this opportunity to beat you up. Lin Yang whispered. If you can see it, how can I not? But he wants to beat me up? With just half of his strength, he's not qualified to do so. Ling Xiao sneered. These people wanted to put him in his place. They wanted him to be afraid and obediently be a servant of the Dark Clan in the future. But he also wanted to put them in their place. So what if they were geniuses in the Upper 8 Immortal Mountain? They were strong not because they were more talented than him, but because they started earlier and had more resources. What did he have to fear? He stood up and looked at Fei Tian. How can I not listen to your request? Young patriarch. But for the sake of fairness, why don't you attack me and I attack you back? Ha 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 ha. Kid, you're quite arrogant. Fine, 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 we'll do as you say. But do you think you can still attack after taking one of my moves? And Fei Tian laughed. Young patriarch, you don't have to worry about that. Since you've agreed, make your move. After Ling Xiao finished speaking, he immediately transformed into a steel-armored bull demon martial soul and released the power of his advanced lightning battle body and advanced lava battle body. He also secretly used the power of the royal heaven-earth queen to strengthen his mysterious world body. Although he said it casually, and Fei Tian was not strong enough. However, and Fei Tian's strength was not something he could easily handle. This time he had to be careful. Good, you've got character. Here I come. And Fei Tian raised his hand and a long black saber appeared in his hand. Then, a cold energy began to condense on the long saber. Advanced Jade Grade Martial Skill. Dark Knight Saber. First form, Night Attack. A disciple of the Upper Eight Immortal Mountain was indeed a disciple of the Upper Eight Immortal Mountain. He used a Jade Grade Martial Skill, and it looked like he had mastered it. He was on par with the Mountain Master of the Purple Immortal Mountain. The power was not inferior to the attack of the Mountain Master of the Purple Immortal Mountain. Oh no, this attack is too strong. How can Boss block it? Even if he doesn't die, he'll be seriously injured. This young patriarch is too ruthless. Lin Yang was also a discerning person. He naturally knew how strong and Fei Tian's attack was. I'm afraid it's not good. Sigh, if he had agreed to become the adopted son of founding elder No Light in the Night, this wouldn't have happened. Qing Wanhua also sighed. In this situation, she and Lin Yang could not help Ling Xiao at all. The opponent was too strong. The two of them together were not enough to kill him. Ling Xiao could not use the power of his heavenly tyrant martial soul at this time. After all, there were too many people here. It would be very difficult to block the attack. However, Ling Xiao did not intend to block it. He said that he would block the attack. Naturally, he could also use offense as defense. He had not made a move yet, but the people in the hall had already started to talk. During the assessment, Ling Xiao used an advanced Jade Grade secret skill to deal with the desert cloud. I guess he'll use that again this time. It's useless. You've seen young patriarch and Fei Tian's intelligence. It's meaningless to use a secret skill or martial skill that he has seen before. Unless he knows another advanced Jade Grade secret skill or martial skill, he's doomed. Facing in Fei Tian's powerful attack, Ling Xiao could not help but frown. He could see that in Fei Tian was really going to kill him. This move could be said to be extremely ruthless. Chapter 2399. When in Fei Tian's wild blade of the Dark Night arrived, the entire sacrificial hall was shrouded in a dark aura. It was eerie and terrifying, and Fei Tian was very confident. He believed that even if he couldn't kill Ling Xiao with this move, he could at least severely injure Ling Xiao, so that this brat would forever remember a lesson, and that was to never provoke his woman. Everyone in the sacrificial hall thought that Ling Xiao couldn't block this attack. No Light in the Night was even prepared to save him. He only wanted to teach Ling Xiao a lesson, but he didn't want Ling Xiao to die. However, no one was optimistic about this situation. Ling Xiao suddenly drew his heavy sword. Purple aura surrounded him, making him look like a sword immortal in a purple cloud. It was like a dream. The sword was out. Purple aura from the east, a sword to the west. The powerful purple aura turned into a huge, heavy sword and stabbed toward Fei Tian. Ling Xiao thought that since he couldn't block it, he could only defend himself by attacking. As long as he wasn't killed by Fei Tian, it would be enough. That's... Dark Knight Wukong was shocked. After a while he laughed and said, "This lad is really impressive. The master of the Purple Fairy Mountain has just died, and he is already using that old bastard's best swordsmanship. How did this kid learn the advanced Jade Grade sword technique Eastern Purple Aura Sword. Hidden Flower also frowned. The powerful giant purple aura sword blocked Fei Tian's attack. This made Fei Tian's expression turn ugly. And Fei Tian's expression was also ugly. He wanted to teach this kid a lesson, but his attack was blocked by a mere disciple of Mount 8 Immortal. If this were to spread, he would be a laughing stock. No, I can't be blocked. In that instant, Fei Tian increased his power from 50% to 80%, and his strength suddenly soared. Ling Zhao's giant purple aura sword was instantly destroyed. Then a figure was sent flying, crashing heavily into the wall of the Heaven Worship Hall. Serves you right. Fei Tian knew that he was in the wrong, but he didn't feel ashamed. He said that he would use 50% of his power, but in the end he used 80%. He believed that no one present would dare to say that he was wrong. No one would say that he was wrong. After all, everyone here was a member of the Dark Ones. Young Patriarch, you didn't keep your word. However, just as he was thinking that, a reckless person stood up. It was Lin Yang. Their boss was beaten up. If he really lost, then there was nothing to say. However, Fei Tian had shamelessly broken his promise in front of everyone. Naturally, he had to say it out loud. That's right. You said that you would use 50% of your power, but in the end, you used 80% of your power. So the young patriarch's words are like farts? The Qingwan flower was also annoyed. Although she was not as strong as him, Ling Xiao had saved her life before. Naturally, she could not remain silent. On the battlefield, who would believe such naive promises? Fei Tian said disdainfully, "What's more, I said I used 50% of my strength, so I used 50%. What evidence do you have to say that I broke the rules? This is not a battlefield. This is the sacrificial hall. How dare you say that in front of the Dark Patriarchs? You're a disgrace to the Dark race," Lin Yang shouted. "If anything happens to our boss, I, Lin Yang, will fight to the death with the Dark race. How dare you?" Fei Tian would never allow Lin Yang to criticize him. After all, he had already defeated Ling Xiao. Even if he killed Lin Yang next, it would not be a problem. His body flashed, and he thrust his terrifying black blade at Lin Yang. However, at that moment, a sword stabbed out from behind him and pierced his lung. Even though he tried his best to dodge and barely avoided being hit in his vitals, his injuries were still not light. "Who's there?" Dark Flower leaped into the air and forced the dark figure to retreat. Then he picked up Fei Tian. "It hurts, Annie." Fei Tian howled in agony. "I'm the one who hurt him." Ling Zhao's figure emerged from the darkness. He was confident that his understanding of shadow was better than anyone else's. When Fei Tian broke his promise and unleashed 80% of his power, Lin Yang knew that he would not be able to block it. Therefore, at the crucial moment, he used the Shadow Child of the Shadow Profound to create an illusion. His original plan was to dodge the attack. He did not expect Fei Tian to target Lin Yang. He did not even notice Lin Yang's presence, so Lin Yang easily ambushed him. Of course, he had to admit that Fei Tian's reaction was fast. If it had been an ordinary person, Lin Yang's sneak attack would have killed him. However, Fei Tian was able to avoid being hit in the vitals. It was a little surprising. As for injuring Fei Tian, Lin Yang was really lucky. Lin Yang had to admit that Fei Tian was too strong. If Ling Xiao had not dodged the attack, he would have died a horrible death. "Kid, you're courting death." Dark Flower suddenly attacked, wanting to kill Ling Xiao. However, Ling Xiao was prepared to escape. He did not expect to be treated like this when he came to the Dark Tribe. How could he be happy? "Old witch, you didn't like me from the beginning. What nonsense are you spouting now? You agreed to my duel with Fei Tian. 1 move per person. That kid also agreed to it. Now that he was stabbed by me, he deserved it. Since Ling Xiao had decided to turn hostile, he would not give these people any face. You think you're in the right for ambushing me?" Dark Flower said angrily. "What a joke. On the battlefield, there's no such thing as ambushing. How naive. Lin Yang said this sentence back to the people present, and Fei Tian had said the same thing to him. Although the reason was different, the meaning was similar. Now he immediately slapped him back. Good boy, let's see how much courage you have. Dark Flower did not plan to talk nonsense with Ling Xiao. A large black hand covered the sky and covered Ling Xiao. He wanted to kill Ling Xiao on the spot. Bang! Dark Flower, who had flown over, flew back in the same way he had flown out. A person stood in front of Ling Xiao. This person looked very similar to No Light in the Night. Mountain Lord! Ling Xiao looked at the person in front of him in surprise. He could not help but be overjoyed. He really did not expect Dark Knight Formless to suddenly appear. Dark Knight Formless, what do you want? Dark Flower's hands trembled. He was shocked. Dark Knight Formless strength made him a little afraid. Ling Xiao is my disciple. Who dares to hurt him? Dark Knight Formless stood there and looked coldly at Dark Flower. She said in a cold voice, "If anyone dares to harm him, don't blame me for ignoring the friendship of the same tribe." Ha ha ha, it's a misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. Dark Knight stood up with a slight smile. He looked at Dark Knight Formless and said, "Two children were sparring." Elder Dark Flower was too concerned about Fei Tian, so he was a little impulsive. Sparring? Dark Knight, you're the leader of the Dark Tribe. How can you be so shameless? And Fei Tian's cultivation is at the peak of the 3rd level of hell in the Yin-Yang realm. Ling Xiao is only at the peak of the 2nd level of hell in the Yin-Yang realm. The difference in their cultivation is so huge, and you say it was a sparring? When I gave you the position of leader, I didn't let you become so shameless. Chapter 2400. Dark Knight Formless didn't give Nightwalker any face at all. This made everyone in the sacrificial hall uneasy. Some of them knew how powerful Dark Knight Formless was back then. Dark Knight Formless had kept a low profile in recent years. Some people even said that he had lost all his martial arts. However, from the way he sent Elder Dark Flower flying with one punch, it was clear that he was very, very strong. Who do you think you are? How dare you look down on my father? Although Fei Tian's lung was pierced, he was still a Yin-Yang realm warrior. Although he was in great pain, his life wasn't in danger. Therefore, he became cocky at this moment. He roared at Dark Knight Formless. "Shut up!" Nightwalker suddenly roared at him. "Father!" Slap. Nightwalker slapped Fei Tian's face and said angrily, "I told you to shut up, so shut up. Are you not going to listen to your father? Your uncle Formless used to be the #1 warrior of the Dark Clan. He's your senior. How can you be so rude?" Although he said this, he knew that although the slap hurt, it could save his son's life. Dark Knight Formless had been very cruel for a period of time. That's enough, Nightwalker. There's no need to pretend. I only have one thing to say. Ling Xiao came to the Dark Clan to learn martial arts. If he violates the rules, you can punish him. However, if I find out that someone is trying to frame him, I won't forgive them. I don't care about the Dark Clan's matters. However, Ling Xiao is my disciple. You'd better remember that. After saying this, he turned into a puff of black smoke and disappeared. He left very confidently. He didn't wait for a response before leaving. He was smart enough to leave all the questions to the Dark Ones. Patriarch, Dark Knight Formless is only an elder. How dare he cause such a ruckus in the sacrificial hall? We can't let him off easily. Dark Flower suffered a loss at Dark Knight Formless' hands and naturally wanted revenge. Okay, then I'll leave the matter of dealing with Dark Knight Formless to you. I wish Elder Dark Flower victory. Nightwalker was furious. How could Dark Flower be so blind? Did he really think that he didn't want revenge? He was the patriarch of the Dark Clan. After being humiliated in front of so many people, he wanted to kill Dark Knight Formless on the spot. However, he knew that he was no match for him. Not to mention that among the 4 doyens, No Light in the Night and Dark Knight were brothers of Dark Knight Formless. To deal with the dark night, one could only do it in the dark and not in the open. When Hidden Flower heard Nightwalker's words, he sat down unhappily and glared fiercely at Ling Xiao. However, Ling Xiao was not afraid of him at all. Men, bring the young patriarch to heal. As for the others, follow me to the altar. Nightwalker glanced at Ling Xiao and ordered. Ling Xiao, Lin Yang, and the Qingwan flower followed the crowd to the heaven worship altar. However, Ling Xiao's heart was like a surging ocean, unable to calm down for a long time. Although he was saved by Dark Knight Formless, he wasn't happy at all. Today, Dark Knight Formless could save him. What about tomorrow? And the day after tomorrow? The night was invisible, so it was impossible for it to watch over him all the time. Furthermore, he couldn't use the Butterfly Lady, Yuan Venerate, and Divine Codex too often. Therefore, he had to make the best use of his time to improve his cultivation base as soon as possible. Martialists with a cultivation base at the 5th level of the Dark Tribe were not the only ones. Even martialists with a cultivation base at the 3rd or 4th level of the underworld could pose a great threat to him. Although they might not be able to kill him, he couldn't just keep running away, right? Furthermore, he still had friends. If he ran away, what would happen to Lin Yang and the Qingwan flower? Strength. After entering the upper 8 Immortal Mountain, he had to work even harder to improve his strength. He couldn't slack off at all. Otherwise, he would be killed sooner or later. Furthermore, he had offended in Fei Tian, Hidden Flower, and Nightwalker. If he wasn't strong enough, he wouldn't be able to survive long with the protection of others. Lin Yang, you should know more about the 8 Immortal Mountain. How strong is in Fei Tian among the younger generation of the Dark Tribe? Ling Xiao suddenly turned his head and asked Lin Yang. You asked the right person, boss. As far as I know, there are 4 geniuses in the Dark Tribe, and Fei Tian was ranked at the very bottom. The other 3 are Dark Gold, Dark Underworld, and Dark Knight Wuzuan. Lin Yang said excitedly. And Fei Tian is ranked last? Ling Xiao frowned, and Fei Tian's cultivation had reached the peak of the 1st Revolution 3rd level of Hell. He was only a step away from the 1st Revolution 4th level of Hell. Ling Xiao could even feel that in Fei Tian was about to break through. There were actually 3 people stronger than this guy. That's right. Dark Gold's cultivation has reached the peak of the 1st Revolution 4th level of Hell. Dark Knight Wuzuan is even stronger. His cultivation has reached the early stage of the 1st Revolution 5th level of Hell. He's almost among the upper echelons of the Dark Tribe. Dark Underworld's cultivation is about the same as Dark Knight Wuzuan's. A few days ago, he got the opportunity to go to the Black Snake Demon sect to further his studies. He'll probably be back soon and will be even stronger. Dark Underworld and Dark Knight Wuzuan are basically existences that surpass the Elders. However, they are focused on cultivation and aren't obsessed with power. That's why they don't have positions. Lin Yang's words made Ling Xiao frown. Although these 3 geniuses might not be his enemies, they were definitely his opponents. There was no doubt about that. Moreover, these 3 geniuses were all 1st Revolution martial artists. It seemed that there would be more and more 1st Revolution martial artists in the upper 8 Immortal Mountain. Ling Xiao lamented in his heart. His cultivation was enough to run amok in the lower 8 Immortal Mountain, but in the upper 8 Immortal Mountain was really nothing. He wasn't at the bottom, but compared to the geniuses in the upper 8 Immortal Mountain, he could only be considered trash. Very good. With such opponents, my determination to continue to advance will be even more stimulated. Ling Xiao's fighting spirit was not extinguished by Lin Yang's words. Instead, it became even more exuberant. He had walked from the Tianfeng city of the past to where he was today by relying on his hard work step by step. Now he was just continuing to work hard. One had to know that his real age was only 18 years old. And after entering the samsara, he was even younger. Boy, now you know fear, right? I also have to tell you a very unfortunate news. Dark Gold and Dark Underworld are the elder brothers of Fei Tian. Although they are not blood-related, they are only the adopted sons of the Dark Knight tribe's leader. However, they are very protective of Infatian. If you let them know that you stabbed Infatian, you can imagine what will happen to you. Hurry up and acknowledge me as your adopted father. Otherwise, you're dead meat. No Light in the Night had become even more obsessed with Ling Xiao ever since the previous exchange of pointers ended. He had always wanted Ling Xiao to become his adopted son. I've already said that I won't acknowledge them. Although Dark Gold and Dark Underworld are strong, I don't even put that old witch Dark Flower in my eyes. These two are nothing. Chapter 2401. Fine, but don't regret it later. No Light in the Night sneered. You're lucky today. Those 3 geniuses from the Dark Ones are all out training. Otherwise, how many times could Nocturnal Formless have saved you? With that, he sped up his pace and left. Sometimes he felt that he was despicable. The more others rejected him, the more he wanted to adopt him. Moreover, Ling Xiao's performance had indeed made him like him more and more. Although he had rejected No Light in the Night, Ling Xiao still felt some pressure, and Fei Tian was already difficult to deal with, let alone the other 3. He also believed that there were other geniuses like them in the 8 great families, especially the Sand, Snake, and Sword clans, who were on equal footing with the Dark Ones. He didn't need to think to know that they were no weaker than the Dark Ones. Boss, you don't need to care too much about what that old man says. Once you enter the Dark Ones, even if you're an outsider, you'll still find some good opportunities. Of course, they're also a test. Once you pass them, you'll gain great benefits just like we did on the 8 Immortals Mountain. Lin Yang was a member of the Lin family. The Lin family had many disciples on the 8 Immortals Mountain. He knew a lot of things that Ling Xiao didn't. I understand. Ling Xiao nodded. Let's work hard together. Yes, let's work hard together. Lin Yang and Qingwan knew that they weren't as talented as Ling Xiao, but they didn't want to fall behind. They just wanted to keep up with Ling Xiao's footsteps. At this moment, Ling Xiao suddenly stopped in his tracks. This was because an extremely strange aura had suddenly appeared in front of him, causing the 12 divine beasts' god positions in his body to become slightly agitated. The martial spirit of the Son of God emitted a strange power that seemed to resonate with the aura in front of him. Is that the Dark Ones have an altar? Ling Xiao looked ahead. The Heaven Sacrificial Altar was indeed worthy of being called the Heaven Sacrificial Altar. It stood there like a huge pagoda that pierced through the sky. The Heaven Sacrificial Altar was dozens of levels high, and its surroundings were made of gold and special metals. It looked very luxurious. However, this was not the main point. The key point was that the power that resonated with the 12 divine beasts' divine positions came from the Heaven Sacrificial Altar. What was it? Although Ling Xiao didn't know what it was, he believed that it was definitely something good. Most likely, it was a treasure from the Black Tortoise mainland. He stepped into the heaven-worshipping altar. That power became clearer and more active. Ling Xiao even felt that he was on the verge of a breakthrough because of this power. Although he had just broken through to the first revolution Yin-Yang Realm's 2nd level, Hell Peak. However, after exchanging blows with several experts during this period of time, the potential within his body had been constantly stimulated. The power that had once been hidden in his body was also stimulated. He didn't seem to be deliberately cultivating, but in reality his cultivation was constantly improving. This made Ling Xiao very pleased. He decided that he had to find a way to get his hands on the Heaven Sacrificial Altar's treasure. He was certain that it was the Dark Race's supreme treasure, the Shadow Black Gourd. Although the name didn't sound like much, the Shadow Black Gourd was a divine-grade spirit artifact. It would be of great help to Ling Xiao. It might even be able to increase his cultivation significantly. However, he didn't dare covet it. He had to wait for an opportunity. He calmed himself down as much as possible. Under the Dark Race's leadership, they worshipped their ancestors at the Heaven Sacrificial Altar. With that, the ceremony was over. Ling Xiao's thoughts were simple. If the dark race treated him with sincerity, he would treat them with sincerity and make them the strongest clan on 8 Immortal Mountain. However, if they didn't treat him well, he wouldn't just stand by and do nothing. Although he could be cunning at times, he was a simple and straightforward person. He would treat anyone who treated him well. He would return the favor 100 times, 1,000 times over. After half an hour, the ceremony finally came to an end. Nightwalker looked at the 10 dark race experts and said, "You are all qualified to adopt children. These 3 have already worshipped their ancestors and become members of the dark race. However, if they wish to join us, they will need your approval. Let's begin. Whoever you take a fancy to will be accepted as an adopted son or daughter. That person will be accepted into the inner race." Nightwalker's words were met with a deathly stillness. In truth, many of them had taken a fancy to Ling Xiao, but Ling Xiao had offended Elder Darkflower and injured young Patriarch and Phaeton. Who wouldn't be wise enough to openly make an enemy out of the Patriarch and Elder? No Light in the Night wanted to adopt Ling Xiao, but he knew that now wasn't the time. He'd only be rejected if he brought it up, so he didn't say anything. "Humph, I don't think you need to waste your time, Big Brother. Those 3 pieces of trash should be thanking the heavens if they can become outer members of the dark race. Inner members? Impossible." Elder Darkflower snorted coldly. "Forget it. Since no one has taken a fancy to any of you, you'll all be outer members of the dark race from now on. Outer members will have to do some chores. I hope you remember that." Nightwalker's eyes flashed with a cold sneer as he spoke. How dare they offend him after joining the dark race? They really didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Although he wouldn't go so far as to kill them, he could still give them a hard time. Nightwalker was right when he said he was narrow-minded. How could he just sit back and do nothing when they'd hurt his son? That's enough. Outer members, like you, don't have the right to stay at the altar. You may return to your residence now. Someone will assign you tasks and chores. Nightwalker smiled. But don't be discouraged. If you want to become an inner member without acknowledging an inner member as your father or mother, there's no need to be discouraged. There's another way. What is it? Ling Xiao couldn't help but ask. It was better to become an inner member, but he wanted to do it on his own. He didn't want to rely on others. It's simple. All you need to do is gain the approval of the Umber Gourd and learn a martial art or secret art from it. Nightwalker smiled. When he said this, many people around him laughed. Ling Xiao could tell that those people's smiles were mocking. No Light in the Night couldn't help but say, "Patriarch, why are you bullying 3 children? The gourd is the most precious treasure of the dark race. It's harder than ascending to heaven to get a chance to communicate with it. All inner members can do it, but only one outer member gets the chance every year." Chapter 2402, No Light in the Night, continued. One of the 2 geniuses who comprehended martial arts or secret techniques from the gourd is in Ming. He obtained a high-tier jade grade martial art. This martial art is close to the peak jade grade martial art. It can be said to be the strongest jade grade martial art. The other one is Dark Knight Wu Zun. He obtained a high-tier jade grade secret technique. It's also the strongest jade grade secret technique. Even if they're both high-tier martial arts and secret techniques, they can be divided into inferior, ordinary, good, outstanding, and supreme. What Dark World and Dark Knight Wu Zun obtained were the best of the best. Do you think these 3 people can compare to those 2 geniuses? You have to know that even a dark gold expert couldn't get anything from the shadow black gourd. Isn't that Ling Xiao a genius? Isn't he very confident? Isn't this a simple matter for him? Dark Knight looked at Ling Xiao and said, "What do you think?" "You're right, Patriarch. Ling Xiao will definitely be qualified to touch the gourd. At the same time, he'll be able to comprehend martial arts or secret techniques that aren't inferior to those 2 geniuses. How could Ling Xiao lower his head after being provoked like this? Moreover, His confidence had long since become incomparably strong after numerous life and death challenges. He didn't care about the geniuses of 8 Immortal Mountain. Even now, there were still many Dark Ones who were stronger than him. In his eyes, there were only 4 people in the same generation as him, and Fei Tian, and Jean and Ming and Dark Knight Wu Zun. What an arrogant tone. I'm afraid you won't even be qualified to touch the gourd in the end. Dark Flower sneered. You should know that there's only one qualification every year. Oh, right, this qualification will be decided in half a month. There won't be any special competition. Instead, they'll directly choose the number 1 outer race disciple. Do you think you can do it? Become the number 1 outer race disciple in half a month? Why not? Ling Xiao looked at Dark Flower and said, Maybe you've seen mediocre people who think it's impossible, but I can do it. Good boy, you're going to be arrogant. You're going to suffer. Those outsiders wouldn't give up their rankings so easily. There are more than 1,000 of them from the 8 Immortal Mountains. The 3 of you are at the bottom of the list. Hidden Flower sneered. There's no need for Senior Elder to worry about that. Ling Xiao nodded and saluted Nightwalker and the others. He then left with Lin Yang and the Qingwan Flower. Patriarch, you really know how to bully people. That Ling Xiao just joined the Dark Ones, and he's already trying to get the right to touch the gourd. Su Mo, who is ranked first among the outer clans, will not agree. That kid is going to suffer. Hidden Flower said with a smile after Ling Xiao left. Sister, you can't say that. Ling Xiao is a good kid, but he's a little too flamboyant. This time, he was lucky enough to injure Not Heaven. I'm sure he'll be even more complacent. If no one can teach him a lesson, I'm afraid he'll soar into the sky. Nightwalker's words were dignified, but there was a hint of coldness in the corners of his eyes. Just now, the Dark Ones, especially the outsiders, had been beaten to death, beaten to the point of losing their confidence, and forced to return to their original mountains. That was something that had happened before. He didn't like Ling Xiao, so he wanted to borrow the hands of the outsiders to teach Ling Xiao a lesson. After returning to his residence, Ling Xiao separated from Lin Yang and the Qingwan Flower. From now on, they would each have their own life of cultivation. Although they would often be together, Ling Xiao would probably have more time to cultivate alone. He tidied up the small wooden house. The environment wasn't bad. Although it couldn't compare to the inner clan's residence, it was still surrounded by beautiful scenery. The only troublesome thing was that he had to do chores. But now, Ling Xiao was too lazy to think about those things. He set up a formation around the small wooden house. This had become a habit of his. After all, it was best not to let outsiders know about some of the things he wanted to cultivate. Otherwise, there would be trouble. As soon as he finished setting up, Lin Yang and the Qingwan Flower came looking for him. Boss, I heard that as long as you're a Dark One, even if you're an outsider, you're entitled to a high-tier Jade grade martial art skill. Although it's a low-tier one, it's still better than a mid-tier one. If you can pass the test of the outsiders, you'll get a high-tier Jade grade martial art skill. It'll be a good one, or even an outstanding one. Anyway, it's a waste to not take it. Let's go to the Dark Tower. That's where you can get a high-tier Jade grade martial art skill. Lin Yang said a lot of things in one breath, but Ling Xiao understood what he meant. To put it bluntly, this was the benefit of entering the upper 8 Immortal Mountain. A mere low-grade, high-grade martial skill can make you so happy? You should know that if you're an inner disciple, you'll be able to get a high-tier Jade grade martial art skill. If you perform well, it won't be hard to get a high-tier martial art skill. No light in the night appeared outside Ling Xiao's wooden house again. This guy is really haunting me. Every word he said was full of sarcasm. He wanted Ling Xiao to understand the benefits of being an inner disciple. Thank you for your reminder, Grand Elder No Light in the Night. Unfortunately, we're just outsiders. We'll get a better martial arts skill through our own methods. Ling Xiao said respectfully. Although No Light in the Night was really annoying, Ling Xiao was still indebted to him. So he wouldn't treat No Light in the Night as directly as he treated Hidden Flower. Kid, I know you don't believe me, but you have to understand that you've injured Infatian. That kid will be able to reach the 4th level of hell in a month at the latest. At that time, the gap between you and him will be even bigger. Without my help, you'll never be able to catch up to him. No Light in the Night reminded him, that kid is an Inching's son. He has the best martial art skills and countless treasures. I'll say something you don't like to hear, but you're no different from a beggar in front of him. Although that kid didn't learn anything useful from the Shadow Black Gourd, and Inching and Hidden Flower both love him. So his martial art skills, movement skills, and body refinement skills are all top-tier Jade grade martial arts skills. What do you have to compete with him? He has so many good things, but he's ranked last among the 4 geniuses. Grand Elder, do you think I need to be afraid of trash like him? Ling Xiao said disdainfully, after hearing No Light in the Night's words. Ling Xiao didn't fear Infatian at all. Instead, he despised him even more. He had such good conditions, but he only cultivated to such a level. He probably wasted all his cultivation time chasing girls. Kid, you're so stubborn. If you don't listen to your elders, you'll suffer. You'll regret it. No Light in the Night said so much just to make Ling Xiao feel afraid and helpless so that he could help. Chapter 2403. Ignoring No Light in the Night's sarcasm and sarcasm, Ling Xiao, Lin Yang, and Qinghuan Hua arrived at the Dark Tower. Strictly speaking, the Dark Tower was a branch of the Hall of Good and Evil in the Dark Tribe, but it had changed its name. Aside from the martial arts manuals, there were also some other things. The one in charge of the Dark Tower was Yi Wuliang, the elder brother of No Light in the Night and Yi Wu. Ling Xiao didn't know much about this person, nor did he offend him, so their relationship was quite normal. But he was only here to get the martial arts manuals he needed, so he didn't care. Of course, it wasn't Yi Wuliang who welcomed them. As an elder, he couldn't do everything himself, especially when Ling Xiao and the other 2 were just outer tribe disciples. The man standing in front of them was a deacon of the Dark Tower. After asking Ling Xiao and the other 2's intentions, he said, "You 3 have 2 choices. One was to take away a set of low-grade Jade grade martial skills. You don't have to take any tests. The other is to help the Dark Tower complete a task, and then the difficulty of the task and the degree of completion will determine what high-grade Jade rank martial arts manual you'll get." "What if we can't complete the task?" Lin Yang asked. "If you can't complete the task, you will lose this precious opportunity, and you won't even get a low-grade Jade rank martial arts manual." The deacon replied, "Then I'll just take it." Lin Yang was well aware of the difficulty of this mission. He knew that he wouldn't be able to complete it, so rather than getting nothing, he might as well get a low-grade, high-tier Jade grade martial skill first. He could exchange for it when his strength increased. "I want to take a task. Is there a top-grade task?" Ling Xiao thought that since he was going to learn, he should learn a top-grade Jade rank martial arts manual. After all, it would be a waste of time to change martial arts manuals. "Of course there is, but are you sure you want to take it? I'm afraid among the Dark Tribe, only in Ming and Yi Wuzuan can complete the task." The deacon asked coldly. Ling Xiao pondered for a moment. If he could not obtain the best, he would rather not have it. In any case, he already had the Eastern Purple Chi Sword. This Eastern Purple Chi Sword was an excellent high-grade Jade grade martial skill. The Thunderstorm skill and the Lava Storm were both outstanding high-level Jade grade secret skills. If he could upgrade his Lava Battle Body and Thunder Battle Body to a higher level, the quality of these 2 secret skills would also increase. Therefore, inferior products were meaningless to him. If you want to fight, then fight for the best. Even if he failed, it didn't matter. "I'm sure." Ling Xiao nodded. "All right, take the mission. You have 3 days to complete the mission. If you exceed the time limit, even if it's a minute or a second, the mission will be considered a failure." The deacon took out the mission card and gave it to Ling Xiao. Then, She looked at the Qingwan flowers. Qingwan flower also chose to accept the quest, but she chose a good level quest, which was much easier than Ling Xiao's. After all, she was a samsara warrior who had entered the secular world. She was more experienced than Lin Yang, so her success rate in completing the task would be higher than Lin Yang's. Such a choice was very reasonable. After accepting the mission, the three separated again. Lin Yang went back to cultivate. Qingwan Flower and Ling Xiao went to their respective destinations to complete their own missions. This was not the first time Ling Xiao stepped out of the Eight Immortals Mountain, but this time he walked a long distance. According to the map, he came to a desert hundreds of miles away from the Eight Immortals County. In this vast desert, there was an inn. Ling Xiao was sitting in the inn, resting, eating meat and drinking wine. "Waiter, take these spiritual stones. I want to ask you something." He casually put 100 low-grade spiritual stones on the table as a tip to the waiter. 100 low-grade spiritual stones were nothing to Ling Xiao. However, it should be known that just these 100 low-grade spirit stones were enough for an ordinary family to use for a very long time. After all, an ordinary family's monthly living expenses were only 500 or 600 low-grade spiritual stones. The waiter took the spiritual stones and said respectfully, "Young hero, as long as it is something I know, I will tell you everything." "Have you heard of the White Wolf County?" Ling Xiao asked. Hearing these 4 words, the waiter trembled and said in a low voice, "Young hero, why do you want to know about the White Wolf County?" "To kill the Black Wolf soldiers." Ling Xiao did not hide it. The shop assistant sucked in a breath of cold air, but he still said White Wolf City was destroyed 3 years ago. It was a city that was not inferior to the Eight Immortals County. But 3 years ago, a troop of Black Wolf soldiers came out of nowhere and massacred the entire White Wolf City in one night. Even a few sects in the White Wolf City disappeared without a trace. It was said that the Black Wolf soldiers were not human, but monsters that could transform into human form. If you really want to go to that place, I suggest you give up. It is definitely not a good place. If you are not careful, you will lose your life. "Oh, do you think I am not strong enough?" Ling Xiao asked with a smile. The waiter laughed and said, "I don't know how strong you are, but the White Wolf County is now the Black Wolf Soldiers' base." The leader of the Black Wolf Soldiers, also known as the Black Wolf General, is a martial artist at the later stage of the 3rd level of Hell in the Yin Yang realm. According to some people, the Black Wolf General may be related to a force in the Eight Immortals County. Of course, this may be a rumor, but his strength is undeniable. The later stage of the 3rd level of Hell in the Yin Yang realm is only slightly weaker than in Feitian. It seems that he is the best opponent for me to practice my skills. A smile appeared on Ling Xiao's face. His opponent was in existence that he absolutely couldn't fight. This was indeed good news for him. He was eager to increase his cultivation, so he might have to fight the Black Wolf General. The Black Wolf General was not as strong as the Mount Master of the Purple Fairy Mountain, but Ling Xiao defeated the Mount Master of the Purple Fairy Mountain with the help of the Butterfly Lady. It was not a satisfying victory for him. Therefore, he planned to defeat the Black Wolf General with his own strength. "Here's your reward." Ling Xiao threw the waiter another 100 lower-grade spiritual stones, then left the inn and sped towards the White Wolf County. Sigh, another reckless person. I advised him with good intentions, but he did not listen. The waiter shook his head, took the reward, and continued with his work. Ling Xiao did not know that the waiter had already judged his fate. He sped through the desert for almost an hour and finally arrived at the outskirts of the White Wolf County. Most of the White Wolf County was covered by the desert, but he could faintly see a huge white wolf statue above the city gate. It looked very majestic. It even contained a very strong mental strength. Chapter 2404. Ling Xiao believed that if he entered the White Wolf County city directly, he would be discovered by the Black Wolf soldiers. But now that he was alone, he could use the martial arts that he had learned in the past. His figure gradually disappeared into the darkness. Activating the shadow steps and shadow body, he floated into the White Wolf County city like a ghost. The mission this time was to eliminate the Black Wolf soldiers, and the mission could only be carried out by one person. If it was a head-on battle, Ling Xiao felt that it was basically impossible for him to win. With his strength, he would probably be played to death. But to complete this mission, he only needed to capture the leader first. As soon as he entered, he saw the leader of the Black Wolf soldiers cultivating there. He did not know how high the leader's level was, but he was very strong. His cultivation had reached the peak of the 3rd level of hell, but he was much stronger than the desert cloud. He released a terrifying, murderous aura that could stop a child from crying. This person's body was covered with black hair, and his figure was more like a black wolf. So the legend that the Black Wolf soldiers are a group of demons is not a rumor. Ling Xiao thought to himself. Suddenly, the Black Wolf soldier's face changed, and he clawed at Ling Xiao's location. "Who is it? Come out." This Black Wolf was indeed a black wolf. His sense of smell was so sensitive that even Ling Xiao's shadow steps could not deceive him. When he got too close, he was detected by him. That voice was filled with a chilling aura. The sharp claws clawed at him, releasing a black claw print. Black Wolf Heart Gouging Claw. The name of this martial skill was extremely tacky, but Ling Xiao did not dare to underestimate it, because this Black Wolf Heart Gouging Claw was actually a good high-tier jade grade martial skill. It seemed that the Black Wolf soldier's strength was not without reason. This Black Wolf soldier's leader should not be a Black Wolf general. However, they were already able to cultivate to a high-grade jade grade martial skill. Ling Xiao would never believe that there was no one supporting them from behind. The terrifying wolf claw completely covered Ling Xiao and wanted to tear Ling Xiao apart. But unfortunately, Ling Xiao did not move. He only raised his hand, and a black shadow cone pierced through the air and hit the wolf claw. It actually destroyed the wolf claw instantly. At this moment, Ling Xiao did not want to use the martial skill of the 8 Immortal Mountain, as he was afraid that his identity would be exposed and bring trouble to himself. Ling Xiao's move, the Black Wolf soldier's leader. This move of his was the consummate skill that had made him famous. Even if it couldn't kill his opponent in one move, it should at least have some effect. However, what shocked him the most was that when he released this move, it actually had no effect at all. How could he not be shocked when his opponent easily disintegrated his attack? "Sir, who are you?" The Black Wolf soldiers, claw print soldiers, claw his claw print claw. You don't need to know who I am. If you want to live, tell me, where is your Black Wolf general? Also, where are the treasures that you have plundered for so many years? Ling Xiao went straight to the point. Killing the Black Wolf general was the core of the mission. Obtaining the treasures was his own wish. He needed spiritual stones and all kinds of treasures, as much as he could get. No one would complain about having too many of those things. Ling Xiao had thought of using his soul power to search for the Black Wolf general's whereabouts and the treasures at the same time, but he did not succeed. There seemed to be some kind of restriction in the White Wolf County that affected the effect of his soul power, causing the search area to be greatly reduced. That was why he did not attack immediately but asked this person. "What a joke! Do you think I will tell you?" The Black Wolf soldier sneered. "Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you blocked my move. This is the White Wolf County, the nest of the Black Wolf soldiers. Since you are here, don't think that you can leave alive. So, you are not willing to tell me." Ling Xiao furrowed his brows slightly. "Not only will I not tell you, I will also kill you." After saying this, the shadow of a wolf suddenly appeared behind Ling Xiao. This wolf shadow was about the same size as an ordinary black wolf, but it was an illusion. Furthermore, it was filled with terrifying destructive power. Like a real wolf, it wanted to tear Ling Xiao's body apart. Petty tricks. Ling Xiao sneered and remained motionless. Suddenly, a shocking bolt of lightning shot out from his body. The wolf shadow was shattered. Of course, he was using the thunder and lightning battle body. Since the other party was about to die, he didn't care if he was exposed or not. "Are you Ling Xiao from the Eight Immortals Mountain?" The leader of the Black Wolf soldiers suddenly said. "Oh, you actually know me?" "Of course I know, an arrogant and ignorant brat. It just so happens that someone wants your life. I didn't expect you to deliver yourself to me." The leader of the Black Wolf soldiers sneered. "Who wants my life?" Ling Xiao said with a frown. "You don't need to know. Anyway, you will die soon. A dead man doesn't need to know so many things." The leader of the Black Wolf soldiers laughed as if he had picked up a treasure. "As long as I kill you, I can leave this damned White Wolf County City and get rid of this damned curse. I can return to where I belong. You want to kill me? Haha. I'm afraid you don't have the ability to do so." As Ling Xiao spoke, he suddenly stabbed out with his sword. The sword technique that was like starlight pierced through the air and emitted a dazzling light in the void. It was like a falling star. It was going to destroy everything in the place where it fell. Advanced Demon Wolf Battle Body. The leader of the Black Wolf soldiers roared, and his body suddenly became a lot bigger. The black fur on his body also grew to about 1 foot long. Each of them was as thin and hard as steel needles. Not only that, his body was also as fierce as a werewolf. The Advanced Demon Wolf Battle Body was considered quite a powerful battle body. In particular, its defense was extremely high. However, it was a pity that the current Ling Xiao was no longer the same as before. After the battle with the Mount Purple Fairy Mountain Master, his cultivation level had increased, and the power of all his moves had increased tremendously. The sword easily pierced through the steel needles and pierced through the body of the leader of the Black Wolf soldiers. The heavy sword released a ferocious power of thunder and lightning, immobilizing the leader of the Black Wolf soldiers. He could only look at Ling Xiao in horror. It was just one move. Moreover, it was a mid-tier Jade grade martial skill. He had easily injured the leader of the Black Wolf soldiers and captured him alive. This was Ling Xiao's great improvement. "Now your life is in my hands. It's up to you whether you want to talk or not." Although he said it casually, the heavy sword contained a strong power of thunder and lightning. It was wreaking havoc in the body of the leader of the Black Wolf soldiers. It destroyed the leader's limbs and bones, causing him so much pain that he wished he was dead. The needle-like black fur on the leader of the Black Wolf soldiers gradually disappeared, and he returned to his original appearance. He was a middle-aged man in his 30s. This man knew very well that not only was his life in Ling Xiao's hands, but Ling Xiao also controlled his cultivation level. Chapter 2405. Let me go. I'll tell you everything you want to know. The leader of the Black Wolf soldiers finally began to beg for mercy. No one wanted to die. It was just that some people were more tolerant while others were more cowardly. "Very well. Answer my first question. Who asked you to deal with me?" Ling Xiao asked coldly. "Saren of the Sand Clan." The leader of the Black Wolf soldiers replied. "Second question. Where is the Black Wolf General?" "The Black Wolf General is under the treasury of the White Wolf County City. There's a secret room there where he is cultivating. The treasures you need are also there." The leader of the Black Wolf soldiers answered Ling Xiao's questions without hesitation. He did not want to die. "Very well. You can go to hell now." Ling Xiao's heavy sword suddenly emitted a terrifying destructive force. "Don't blame me. Your answers to the last 2 questions are very good. However, you lied to me about the first question. You know that Saren and I are enemies, so you said that he asked you to kill me. In fact, that's not the case. I'll talk. The leader of the Black Wolf soldiers did not expect Ling Xiao to discover his lie. He was scared out of his wits. "No need. Since you lied, you deserve to die." Ling Xiao did not show any mercy and ended the life of the leader of the Black Wolf soldiers. What surprised him was that there was a demon core in this guy's body. It seemed that the rumors were true. These Black Wolf soldiers were not normal humans. This demon core was not the same as ordinary demon cores. There were special inscriptions flowing on it. He is indeed cursed. However, so what if he is cursed? Others may not be able to use the cursed demon core. However, to me, Ling Xiao, this thing is a treasure for refining elixirs. It seems that I will be able to break through to the 3rd level of hell soon. Ling Xiao was happy. He was no longer in a hurry to find the Black Wolf General. Instead, he sat in the pitch-black, demonic water where the leader of the Black Wolf soldiers was. This kind of water must have been made by the Black Wolf soldiers for their cultivation. Only the leaders of the upper echelons were qualified to use it. Ling Xiao, on the other hand, was basking in his glory. Sitting in the demonic water, he began to concoct pills. He refined the cursed demon core into an unusual pill. Strange pills had no grades. It also didn't have a fixed effect. It was just a pill that could increase the cultivation effects of demon cores or special materials. Eating this strange pill was more effective than directly swallowing the cursed demon core. In that instant, the power of the curse was disintegrated by the tyrannical martial spirit. The power of the demon water was also being continuously extracted by the power of the curse. Ling Xiao's body began to change constantly. Sometimes he would take on the appearance of a black wolf, and other times he would return to normal. This repeated for nearly an hour. Ling Xiao opened his eyes. Although he had yet to break through, he could feel that he had accumulated 100% of his strength. Breaking through only required a fierce battle. Next, it was time for him to find that Black Wolf General and have a great battle. Perhaps he would gain more benefits if he made a breakthrough in battle. Once again, Ling Xiao activated his dark shadow steps and entered the desolate White Wolf County City. As long as he didn't go near someone as strong as the leader of the Black Wolf soldiers, Ling Xiao was not afraid of being discovered. Even if those ordinary warriors of the Black Wolf soldiers saw him pass by, they would just treat it as a gust of wind. After a while, Ling Xiao had already arrived at the location of the treasury of the White Wolf County City. Along the way, there were countless traps and mechanisms. However, he had the Tai Chi Eye. These things posed no threat to him at all. Hence, he was not afraid at all. Just as he arrived outside the treasury, he could clearly feel a strong evil force seeping out from underground. Ling Xiao was sure that the Black Wolf General must be below. A look of excitement appeared on his face. Then it disappeared. At this moment, another group of people arrived outside the White Wolf County City. The leader of this group was none other than Sha Diao. The rest should be warriors of the Sand Tribe. Is the news accurate? Ling Xiao has entered the White Wolf County City? Sha Diao looked at the city that was almost covered by the desert and asked coldly. The person he was asking was none other than Bai Yin, who was ranked 3rd among the Dark Tribe. Bai Yin's cultivation was not as high as Sha Diao's. She was only at the peak of the 3rd level of hell. She was not a reincarnation realm warrior. When he learned that Ling Xiao was trying to compete with them for the right to comprehend the Shadow Black Gourd, he already had the idea of colluding with the Sand Tribe. He knew that he was no match for Ling Xiao. Although he had entered the upper 8 Immortals Mountain earlier, his cultivation was only at the level of Desert Cloud. He was already annoyed that there were 2 people above him. Now there was also Ling Xiao. How could he bear it? Hence, even if Ling Xiao did not die, he must be chased back to the Black Immortal Mountain. He could not compete with him. Don't worry, young Master Sha Diao. I risked my life to come with you. If I didn't have accurate news, do you think I would dare to come? Bai Yin said with a smile. That's good. You must guard the only exit of the White Wolf City. You must not let Ling Xiao escape. If you find him, inform me immediately using the Soul Lock token. I must kill him this time. Sha Jiao's hatred for Ling Xiao was too deep. Although he had sworn not to attack Ling Xiao on the Black Immortal Mountain, he would die tragically if he did, but he still did not want Ling Xiao to live. Ling Xiao had left the Eight Immortals Mountain to come to the White Wolf City. It was an excellent opportunity. Don't attack first. It won't be too late to attack after Ling Xiao comes out. Sha Jiao had failed to kill Ling Xiao many times. Hence, he had become very cautious. He would not attack the Black Wolf soldiers in the White Wolf City first, although those people were not worth mentioning in his eyes. But he still wanted to conserve his strength and go all out to deal with Ling Xiao. He did not believe that Ling Xiao could make a breakthrough in such a short time. If that was the case, wouldn't he be a real monster? At this moment, Ling Xiao had already arrived at the underground of the treasury. The underground secret room of the treasury was filled with traps and mechanisms. However, Ling Xiao, who had the Tai Chi eye, did not touch any of the traps and easily arrived at the bottom. If it were someone else with the same cultivation level as him, he would have died on the way. That was because the traps and mechanisms displayed terrifying power in his Tai Chi eye's deduction. Every attack could seriously injure or even kill a martial artist at the third level of hell in the first transformation Yin-Yang realm. And Ling Xiao was only at the peak of hell in the first transformation Yin-Yang realm. He would not be able to withstand a head-on attack. There was also a formation. Although there were many flaws, if one did not know how to break the formation, it would take 1 or 2 years for an ordinary person to break it. Ling Xiao was different. He was good at breaking formations. This was very simple for him. After stepping into the underground secret room, there were 2 paths. One led to the cultivation place of the Black Wolf General. Chapter 2406. He was not in a hurry to deal with the Black Wolf General. That guy was cultivating anyway. He could make it later. Ling Xiao chose the path that led to the treasure cave. Perhaps he could find some key items in the treasure cave that would allow him to break through. Along the way, he would encounter a lot of danger. However, it was nothing to Ling Xiao. In this huge secret chamber, there were a lot of spirit stones, a large number of low-grade and middle-grade spirit stones. Ling Xiao roughly calculated that the total number of low-grade spirit stones here was close to 500 million. There were also 4 to 5 million middle-grade spirit stones. He was dumbfounded by so many spirit stones. He did not have such high expectations at first. So at this moment, it was inevitable that he was excited. He was even stunned for a while. It's fortunate that I have a large enough storage ring. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to fit all of these things. Ling Xiao smiled and waved his hand. The large number of low-grade and middle-grade spirit stones were all kept in his storage ring. 1 million middle-grade spirit stones were given to the butterfly girl as snacks. The butterfly girl liked spirit stones. This was especially true for high-quality spirit stones. It was not easy to raise this little guy. However, it could save her life at a critical moment. Therefore, Ling Xiao did not feel that it was a pity at all. 1 million middle-grade spirit stones was enough for the butterfly girl to eat for a year and a half. After keeping the spirit stones, Ling Xiao continued to walk forward. He found a large number of pills. The quality of these pills was not bad, but Ling Xiao did not care for them, because the quality of the pills he refined was much better than these. However, he would not miss out on so many pills. He still took them all. After he went back and refined them, he could extract useful materials from them. They would definitely be useful for refining pills in the future. In any case, as long as there was enough space, Ling Xiao would not reject anyone. He kept these things and continued to move forward. He saw a gourd hanging on the roof that was emitting a golden light. There was nothing special about the gourd. It could guarantee the effect of the pills. As for the medicinal pills inside, they were extremely powerful. It's the Yin-Yang breakthrough pill. Ling Xiao's face was filled with joy. The Yin-Yang breakthrough realm pill, as the name suggested, was a pill that could help a Yin-Yang realm martial artist break through. 1 Yin-Yang breakthrough realm pill could allow a martial artist at the pinnacle of the first level of hell to easily break through to the second level of hell. 2 pills could allow a martial artist at the peak of the second layer of hell to break through to the third layer of hell. 4 of them could allow a cultivator at the peak of the third layer of hell to easily break through to the 4th layer of hell. So on and so forth, the amount of medicinal pills required for each breakthrough would increase by double. And this was only what ordinary warriors needed. If a first transition martial artist wanted to break through from the 1st layer of hell to the 2nd layer, the amount of yin-yang breakthrough pill required would be doubled. In other words, he needed 2 of them. The logic was the same. Although Ling Xiao could also refine the yin-yang breaking cultivation pill, the ingredients were hard to find. Therefore, he had never used it after entering the samsara. Inside the gourd, there were actually 10 yin-yang breakthrough realm pills. This meant that if Ling Xiao's cultivation reached the pinnacle of the 3rd layer of hell, he could use these pills to break through to the 4th layer of hell. There should be 2 yin-yang breakthrough realm pills left. These 2 pills were useless to Ling Xiao anyway, so he planned to give them to Lin Yang. With these pills, Lin Yang should be able to break through to the 3rd layer of hell in one go. I didn't expect my luck to be so good. Looks like I really have to speed up my breakthrough to the 3rd layer of hell. As long as I can reach the pinnacle of the 3rd layer of hell, the rest of the journey will be very easy. Ling Xiao kept the gourd and continued walking forward. He wanted to know what other treasures there were in this treasure cave. As he walked further in, there were no more medicinal pills. Instead, there were large amounts of divine weapons and various martial arts manuals. It was a pity that the best of these martial arts manuals were only high-grade, jade-grade martial skills, so they weren't very attractive to Ling Xiao. Why don't I bring them back and give them to my friends? Only when my friends are strong can they help me more. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao decided to keep all the martial arts techniques and weapons. The worst weapon was a premium-grade spiritual weapon. The best one was an immortal-grade spiritual weapon. Unfortunately, it was a saber and not a sword. It wasn't very useful to Ling Xiao. However, if he brought it back to exchange for contribution points, he should be able to exchange it for a lot. What's that? Ling Xiao's gaze was suddenly attracted by a huge brocade on the ground. On the brocade, there was a scene of a black-clothed man holding a long sword and fighting with a demon. The man holding the long sword was obviously very strong. His body was constantly releasing a special energy wave and glow. Ling Xiao didn't understand what was going on at first. However, after taking a closer look, he realized that the black-clothed swordsman was actually made of dragon tendons. Those were real dragon tendons. Every single one of them released the power of a dragon. It was terrifying. The eyes of the black-clothed swordsman were actually made of the demon core of a demonic beast. The level of this demonic beast was actually at the level of no light in the night. The sword in the black-clothed swordsman's hand was made of the rib of a white tiger. It was perfectly combined with the brocade. This made the black-clothed swordsman extremely strong. At least 108 dragon tendons, 108 white tiger rib bones, in addition to the powerful crystal core of a demonic beast, as well as other rare materials. This shocking brocade was created. The demon wasn't weak either. The demon was made of the skin and bones of the heavenly demon. It was extremely vivid. Upon closer look, the pattern drawn on the brocade actually contained the mysteries of a formation. Could this be a magic treasure? A magic treasure that's definitely not weaker than the Umbra Black Gourd? Ling Xiao made a judgment in his heart. He then focused on breaking the formation and took the brocade from the ground. Just as he was about to put it into his storage ring and continue searching for treasures, a strong wind suddenly attacked. Ling Xiao knew that the Black Wolf General had finally found out that he had touched the treasure cave. That was why he had charged out. The Black Wolf General's sneak attack was extremely powerful. Ling Xiao used the light flash technique to dodge and barely avoided the attack. The many treasures behind him were all destroyed by the Black Wolf General's claws. What a bastard! You actually sneaked into this general's treasure cave to steal things. It's fine if you took the other things, but you even tried to touch my dark sword deity diagram. This thing, my master worked hard to refine for a full 500 years before he finally succeeded. This general risked the infamy of killing my master to get it. You want to take it away?" The Black Wolf General was also a little surprised that he couldn't kill Ling Xiao in one move. Moreover, Ling Xiao felt that this guy's cultivation wasn't at the late stage of the first transformation, 3 levels of hell. He was at the peak of the first transformation, 3 levels of hell. Chapter 2407. If Ling Xiao wanted to defeat the Black Wolf General, he would have to make a breakthrough or borrow other powers. Since it's in my hands, it's mine. Anyway, you didn't get it properly. After hearing the Black Wolf General's words, Ling Xiao naturally wouldn't return the treasure. "You're courting death!" The Black Wolf General suddenly roared. His voice was so loud that it shattered the surrounding boxes. Many treasures that Ling Xiao didn't have time to take away were also shattered. This power was really terrifying. It was as strong as the blue waves of the ocean. As long as one was hit, one would definitely die. A yin-yang realm level 3 martial artist in the First Revolution was indeed extraordinary. More importantly, every martial technique that this guy used was purer than the Purple Fairy Mountain's Mountain Master. Steel-armored bull demon martial soul transformation. Advanced lightning combat body. Advanced lava combat body. Faced with the Black Wolf General's second attack, Ling Xiao naturally couldn't retreat. Since his opponent cared so much about the dark sword deity painting, Ling Xiao couldn't let it go. Hence, he channeled 90% of his yin-yang yuan force and merged it into the heavy sword. He stabbed it out. A sword to the west. His opponent was too strong, so he could only use an advanced jade grade sword technique. Boom! Their yuan force collided, and there were continuous explosions. The entire underground secret room seemed to be collapsing. Ling Xiao was also pushed back by a terrifying force for close to 100 meters. Blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. The difference in cultivation level was huge. Without using the Sky Tyrant Martial Soul, he was still at a disadvantage. This isn't the place to fight. Let's find another battlefield. Although Ling Xiao wanted to get his hands on all the treasures, it didn't seem like it was possible now. Once this place collapsed, he and the Black Wolf General would probably be buried alive. It was better to fight outside. He really wanted to see just how powerful this Black Wolf General was. Even though he had only received 1 attack, he could already feel the barrier of his cultivation level cracking. His cultivation level was finally showing signs of a breakthrough. Anyway, he had already accumulated all his strength. The next step was to rely on the opponent's powerful essence energy to help him break through. It wasn't the first or second time that he had used such a crazy method of breaking through, so Ling Xiao was very familiar with it. With a flash of his body, Ling Xiao pierced through the ground with a light, godly traversal and turned into a beam of sword light, breaking through the air and landing on the ground. After that, he stood there and waited for his opponent to arrive. The Black Wolf General was stronger than Ling Xiao, but his speed was really lacking. Ling Xiao had already been up there for about a minute before he broke through the huge block of soil and came up. "Good boy, you have guts. You actually dared to not run away." Seeing that Ling Xiao did not escape, General Heilang could not help but smile. Only if Ling Xiao didn't run away would he have a chance to take revenge. Otherwise, if that thing of his was taken away, wouldn't he become a laughingstock? Moreover, he would definitely be angered to death. "Why are you running?" "My mission this time is to kill you," Ling Xiao said indifferently. "I'm afraid you don't have the ability." General Heilang didn't bother to talk to Ling Xiao at all. His terrifying attack once again rushed towards Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao cooperated with his occult world body. With the steel-armored ox demon transformation, advanced lava battle body, advanced thunder battle body, and scarlet sun feather raiment, he fought against General Heilang. He knew that he was no match for his opponent, but he still attacked with all his might. It was not just passive defense. This way, the opponent's attacks would be more ferocious. He was getting closer and closer to breaking through. 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds. The two of them fought for a full 10 rounds. Ling Xiao's body was injured in 7 or 8 places. Every part of it looked extremely miserable. As for General Heilang, he was only hit by Ling Xiao's sword. There was a blood stain on his neck, but it was not particularly obvious. The difference in strength between the two was still quite big. I'm about to break through. All of a sudden, Ling Xiao felt a surge of energy, crazily trying to surge out of his body. He turned around and dodged another attack from General Heilang before finally disappearing into the shadows. Next, he had to find a place to break through in peace. After breaking through, it would not be too late to fight General Heilang again. He was too fast for General Heilang to keep up. After searching for a long time, General Heilang still could not find him. Suddenly, he received an order saying that there was another group of people coming from outside the White Wolf County city. The strongest among them was a young man whose cultivation level was similar to his. General Heilang was furious when he heard this. He vented all his hatred for Ling Xiao on this young man. Deputy General, go find that kid. I'll take care of the trouble outside. With that, he rushed out without waiting for the Deputy General's order. He was obviously eager to vent his anger. General Heilang's Deputy General was a paper man in his 40s who looked more cultured and refined. However, his eyes were somewhat evil and cold. His cultivation level had also reached the middle stage of the 3rd level of Hell of the Yin-Yang realm, which was why he was qualified to be the Deputy General. He was also called the 2nd Chief by the Heilang soldiers. After receiving General Heilang's order, he started to instruct the Heilang soldiers to conduct a carpet search of the White Wolf County city. At this moment, Ling Xiao had returned to the secret underground room and started to focus on breaking through. The higher the cultivation level, the longer the time needed to break through. This time he had fought with General Heilang for 10 rounds and risked being killed before he showed signs of breaking through. He naturally did not want to miss this opportunity. He had to find a safe place to break through. After about 15 minutes, Ling Xiao rushed out of the ground again. The group of Heilang soldiers who were searching for him on the surface were hit by the terrifying sword qi. Their bodies were torn into 2 on the spot. Ling Xiao stood on a commanding height and looked coldly into the distance. There was a battle going on there. It was a battle between 2 experts. 2 warriors at the peak of the 3rd level of Hell of the Yin-Yang realm were fighting there. They were like 2 human-shaped demon beasts. Every time they attacked, a huge sandstorm would erupt in the desert. There was a strong smell of blood in the air. Many Heilang soldiers had been killed. Their corpses could be seen both inside and outside the White Wolf County city. It's General Heilang? Who is that? Ling Xiao squinted his eyes and looked carefully. He could not help but frown when he saw the fierce sandstorm. After looking carefully, he understood everything. Idiot! I didn't expect this guy to chase me all the way here. It seems like he really wants to kill me. Many Heilang soldiers and Sand Clan warriors could not interfere in the battle between the 2 experts. This was because once they got close to the battle, it was very likely that they would be killed by the terrifying power. That person seems to be Bai Yin from the foreign clan. Why is he here? On the first day that Ling Xiao joined the Dark Clan, he had already read through the information of the top 10 warriors of the Dark Clan. He knew more about Bai Yin, who was ranked 3rd. Good boy. In order to reduce the number of competitors, you want to use idiot to kill me? Chapter 2408. Sha Jiao was fighting with the Black Wolf General. As for Bai Yin, she stood to the side and watched silently. At the only exit of White Wolf County City, there were dozens of Sand Clan martial artists blocking the entrance. Of course, they were not trying to stop the Black Wolf soldiers from entering. They were trying to stop Ling Xiao and prevent him from escaping. You really want to kill me? Since that's the case, don't blame me for being ruthless. Sha Jiao, help me stop the Black Wolf General. I'll kill Bai Yin first. Those who kill me must die. Ling Xiao laughed coldly in his heart. Then he disappeared into the darkness again and advanced in the huge black sandstorm. His target was Bai Yin. He was not afraid of exposing his identity. He had already entered the demonic tyrant, blood, dragon, martial, soul, transformation state. In any case, Bai Yin deserved to be killed. That idiot would definitely not dare to leak the news. This kid had sworn not to attack him. If the people of 8 Immortal Mountain knew that this kid still wanted to kill Ling Xiao, he would be finished. Ling Xiao's cultivation had reached the early stage of the 3rd level of hell. Even the power of the meteor sword technique had increased greatly. He did not need to use a high-tier jade martial skill or secret technique to deal with Bai Yin. A heavenly fire caused hundreds of spots of light to appear in the void. Then, these spots of light turned into hundreds of dazzling sword chi and exploded in the void like thunder. They pierced towards Bai Yin from hundreds of meters away. The heavenly fire's magic was that it could disperse and deal with a group of people. It could also target a single person and make them suffer a series of attacks. It would be difficult to dodge. When the sword chi came, it was too late for Bai Yin to notice. The sword chi flashed like stars and was extremely fast. Bai Yin could feel the sharp chi from dozens of meters away. If it cut his skin, he would be in trouble. Bai Yin's face was filled with fear. It was impossible for him to block such an attack. Who was his opponent? Why did he suddenly attack him? He did not understand. The hundreds of sword chi were about to pierce his body and turn him into a hedgehog. A loud roar came from the sky. Bastard! How dare you kill a disciple of the 8 Immortals Mountain? You're courting death. He couldn't let Bai Yin die. Bai Yin had come with him. If she was killed, he wouldn't be able to explain himself to the dark race. Tell the truth? What a joke. If he did, he would die a horrible death. But to lie? If that happened, people would definitely think that he was the one who killed Bai Yin. Therefore, he definitely could not let Bai Yin die. He sent the Black Wolf general flying with a single punch before charging towards Ling Xiao. He wanted to stop Ling Xiao from killing Bai Yin. Black Sun Storm Sword. In the void, a black sun suddenly appeared. The entire desert seemed to have turned black, emitting a gloomy aura. In the end, the terrifying sword managed to block Bai Yin's attack in time. Boom! The black sun released a black light and collided with Ling Xiao's meteor sword art. An explosion that turned the entire desert upside down erupted. Gravel flew everywhere like a sandstorm. Many of the nearby Black Wolf soldiers and Sand Race's warriors were killed because they couldn't dodge in time. This attack from the Sand Eagle was extremely powerful. The Black Sun Storm Sword. Ling Xiao had never seen the Sand Eagle use such a move before. It seemed like this guy's strength was not to be underestimated. Bai Yin heaved a sigh of relief after being saved by the Sand Eagle. I recognize you, Ling Xiao. I didn't expect that you would dare to attack Bai Yin. Did you really think that I would let you have your way? Ling Xiao's demonic tyrant blood, dragon, martial soul transformation was too obvious. There was no way the Sand Eagle couldn't recognize him. He stood proudly in front of Bai Yin and said arrogantly, "If I want to kill her, can you stop me? Moreover, you swore that you wouldn't attack me. If you break your oath, it will come true." Ling Xiao looked at the Sand Eagle and said calmly, "Humph, if I kill you, no one will know that I broke my oath. Naturally, I won't be punished." The Sand Eagle snorted and was about to attack Ling Xiao. However, at that moment, Bai Yin let out an ear-piercing scream. Her body was torn to pieces. The terrifying sword Qi completely cut him apart, as if he was being torn apart by 5 horses. What? The Sand Eagle looked behind him in shock. He couldn't believe his eyes. He had blocked Ling Xiao's attack. How could Bai Yin still die? I told you if I, Ling Xiao, want to kill someone, he won't be able to live. Ling Xiao mocked. You might be able to kill someone, but you're not qualified to save someone. I have hundreds of sword auras. You only blocked 320 of them. There are also dozens of sword chi that I have hidden in the quicksand. Killing him is enough. The number 3 outer prodigy of the dark tribe is nothing in my eyes. Forget it. If he's dead, you must die too. Otherwise, I won't be able to explain myself. The Sand Eagle said coldly. The outer sect disciples of the dark tribe fought to the death for a ranking. In the end, both of them died. That should be a good report, right? Let's not make up such a cliché story. It's boring. Ling Xiao was no longer afraid of the Sand Eagle. The moment he reached the early stage of the 3rd level of hell, the Sand Eagle's threat to him was reduced to single digits. Although it wasn't 0, it was much, much less. So you're a disciple of the 8 Immortal Mountain. The Black Wolf Army doesn't want to interfere in your feud. Kid, hand over the dark sword deity painting, and I'll let you go. The Black Wolf General suddenly said. Give it back to you. Do you have a big face? Ling Xiao looked at the Black Wolf General and said, To tell you the truth, I came to the White Wolf County City for no other reason than to kill you. Take the dark sword immortal portrait as my spoils of war. You're courting death. The Black Wolf General was surrounded by black aura. He had almost turned into a huge black werewolf. His physique was even more burly than the previous leader. He was also more powerful. Wolves and dogs are from the same clan. You might be able to become one of my martial souls. A beast soul at the peak of the 3rd level of hell. Not bad, not bad. I can use it for a long time. Among the 12 beast gods, there was a dog god. Wolves and dogs were from the same clan. Therefore, Ling Xiao could use the Black Wolf General's beast soul. Black Wolf General, why don't we work together? Since we have a common enemy, wouldn't it be great if we worked together to kill him? The Sand Eagle suddenly looked at the Black Wolf General and suggested, You people from the 8 Immortal Mountain are not trustworthy. The Black Wolf General couldn't work together with the Sand Eagle because he didn't know if the Sand Eagle and Ling Xiao had a feud. If they were ambushed in the process, he would be in trouble. Therefore, he would rather watch Ling Xiao fight with the Sand Eagle. He believed that his strength was more than enough to deal with Ling Xiao. There was no need for him to work with anyone. Idiot, you'll be at a disadvantage if you underestimate this guy. The Sand Eagle frowned. Only those who had experienced the battle with Ling Xiao knew how terrifying Ling Xiao was. Chapter 2409. It's not up to you to judge whether I'm an idiot or not. If you have the ability, stay away and let me have a showdown with this Ling Xiao. The Black Wolf General would definitely not let Ling Xiao go because the dark sword deity diagram was with Ling Xiao. As for Sha Jiao, he didn't want to be his enemy if he could. If it was any other day, Sha Jiao wouldn't retreat. But today he was here to kill Ling Xiao. If Ling Xiao could fight with the Black Wolf General, then one of them would definitely be injured. Even if Ling Xiao wasn't injured, he would definitely consume a lot of energy. At that time, it would be easier for him to kill Ling Xiao. Thinking of this, he waved his hand and led the rest of the sand race to retreat with Bai Yin's body. When they reached the only way to the 8 Immortals County, they laid in ambush. Naturally, they were waiting for Ling Xiao. You should join forces with him. After Sha Jiao left, Ling Xiao looked at the Black Wolf General and said, Bullshit! With your little strength, I don't need to join forces with anyone to take your dog life. The Black Wolf General was very confident. Is that so? Then let's try. After saying this, a terrifying purple gas rose from Ling Xiao's body and soared into the sky. The purple gas actually enveloped the storm from before. A huge purple sword appeared behind Ling Xiao. Eastern Purple Chi Sword, one sword to the west. Proficient in fire control. Under constant grinding. Soaring Cloud had already been cultivated to the level of proficiency. It could be used more often, and its power had also increased. To deal with the Black Wolf General, a mid-tier Jade martial skill was no longer enough. He had to directly use a high-tier Jade martial skill. Moreover, this Eastern Purple Chi Sword was compatible with Ling Xiao's demonic tyrant blood dragon martial soul transformation and his powerful high-tier lightning body. Ling Xiao wanted to kill the Black Wolf General and was determined to fight with all his strength. Moreover, he wanted to rely on his own strength and not the butterfly lady's strength. The moment the giant purple sword appeared, it didn't end. Behind Ling Xiao, a pitch-black universe emerged. It was a boundless universe that was pitch-black. Only the stars were dotted in the void. The black sandstorm was sucked into the black universe and disappeared. Tyrannical martial spirit. Ling Xiao was Ling Zhao's greatest source of confidence. This was his own strength and his own trump card. It was different from the attacks of the butterfly lady and Yuan venerates. What is it? The moment the tyrant martial spirit appeared, the Black Wolf General felt a great threat, but he couldn't understand what it was. He just felt confused. There was some fear in his heart. However, in front of so many Black Wolf soldiers, he could not back down. Although it was hard to back down, he had to back down. Otherwise, he would have nowhere to put his old face. Oh! A wolf howl came out of his mouth. His body was several times larger than before. His height had already reached 4 to 5 meters. His sturdy muscles made him extremely strong. The surging black qi released from his body finally helped him block some of the pressure from the tyrannical martial spirit. He felt much better. His confidence also recovered. He is merely at the peak of the first transformation, second level of hell. Even if he has a strange martial spirit, it can't make up for the huge gap in cultivation. Killing him will be as easy as flipping my hand. The Black Wolf General encouraged himself in his heart. Are you thinking that I'm only at the peak of the first transformation, second level of hell, and that I'm easy to deal with? Unfortunately, my cultivation has only just broken through. Ling Xiao looked at the Black Wolf General. His soaring aura made the giant purple sword even bigger. The giant sword turned into a ray of light and blended into the pitch-black universe. Then it returned. Like a comet, it dragged a long purple tail in the universe and shot over at an extremely fast speed. The early stage of the first transformation, third level of hell. The Black Wolf General was shocked. You actually hid just now to improve your cultivation. That's right. I have to thank you for this. If it wasn't for the tough battle with you that allowed me to break through my cultivation that had been stuck for a long time, I might not be your match. In order to thank you, I'll finish you off in one move. Ling Xiao said indifferently. Bullsh *T. So what if you've broken through? Do you really think that I'm afraid of you? The Black Wolf General was furious. He howled again and his body flashed. His huge body was extremely agile. He turned into countless afterimages and pounced on Ling Xiao. His attack wasn't that big, but Ling Xiao could feel that the destructive power was really terrifying. I'm going to break your neck so that you won't be able to be so arrogant anymore. The huge wolf body instantly appeared in front of Ling Xiao. Then its huge claws covered the sky and slammed down on Ling Xiao's head. It's over. Ling Xiao and the Black Wolf General said the same thing. Then a huge purple light pierced through the Black Wolf General's body and nailed him to the city wall of the White Wolf County. The Black Wolf soldiers, who were originally cheering, were instantly muted. They looked at this scene in horror. The Black Wolf General is dead. It was unknown who shouted, but the Black Wolf soldiers began to scatter in all directions. Without their commander, they lost their backbone. They didn't dare to face a powerful enemy, although there were some brave Black Wolf soldiers who stayed behind. But Ling Xiao didn't even look at them. He reached out and pulled out a cursed demonic beast crystal core from the Black Wolf General's body. It contained the Black Wolf General's beast soul and all his demonic power. Then, in front of all the Black Wolf soldiers, Ling Xiao swallowed the demonic beast crystal core. His demonic power was quickly converted and filled the reservoir of his cultivation. The reservoir was filled by a third of the water directly, and this wasn't Ling Xiao's main goal. The Black Wolf General Martial Soul that gradually appeared behind him was Ling Xiao's main goal. The Black Wolf General Martial Soul occupied the Hound God's deity position. From today onwards, for of the 12 beast gods deity positions in Ling Xiao's body had been occupied. Butterfly Lady Martial Soul, Steel Armored Ox Demon Martial Soul, Tyrant Blood Demon Dragon Martial Soul, Black Wolf General Martial Soul. Of course, there was still the strongest Sun God Martial Soul that was sealed and temporarily useless. Only when Ling Xiao became stronger could he use it to truly unleash its terrifying power. This Black Wolf General's corpse can be used to complete the mission. Ling Xiao could feel the increase in his strength, and he was extremely pleased. Facing the charging Black Wolf soldiers, he suddenly transformed into the Black Wolf General. Every incarnation could inherit the strongest moves of the beast soul itself. The steel-armored ox demon martial soul gave Ling Xiao the steel-armored ox demon shield, a powerful defensive move. Without a grade, it would only become stronger as the martial soul became stronger. The tyrant blood demon dragon martial soul gave Ling Xiao the demonic dragon blood curse, a secret technique. Once used, it could directly absorb the opponent's blood and qi, causing the opponent to panic. If the opponent's strength wasn't high, it could also directly suck the opponent dry. Ling Xiao had never used these two moves before because his cultivation hadn't broken through to the first revolution, 3 levels of hell, and he felt that their power wasn't enough. Chapter 2410. As for the move that the Black Wolf General taught Ling Xiao, it was the Black Wolf Pack Kill. It was also a single move, the same move that the Black Wolf General had released earlier. At this time, Ling Xiao was also released. The shadows of a pack of black wolves pounced on the Black Wolf soldiers. Combined with Ling Xiao's mastery of the profound meaning of shadows, it was several times stronger than the Black Wolf generals. Although the Black Wolf soldiers were brave and wanted to avenge their general, the only result of attacking Ling Xiao was death. We can go now. He had obtained so many treasures, completed his mission, and killed Baiyin. Ling Xiao felt that there was no need to kill anymore. He turned around and transformed into a black wolf, darting into the vast desert. In the blink of an eye, he had disappeared without a trace. What should we do, Second Master? Seeing Ling Xiao leave and knowing that the Black Wolf General had died in battle, the rest of the surviving Black Wolf soldiers placed their hopes on the second leader. Don't worry, we will definitely avenge the general. Don't forget his true identity. The second master looked at the dust in the distance and gritted his teeth. Pack up, we're going to the 8 Immortal City. On the road to the 8 Immortal City, Ling Xiao was ambushed, but this ambush was a bit laughable. Facing the much stronger Ling Xiao, the 46 Sandray soldiers who ambushed Ling Xiao were all killed except for Sha Jiao. Sha Jiao, Sha Jiao, it's time for us to settle our grudges today. Ling Xiao wanted to kill Sha Jiao. He didn't do it that day because he wanted to give no light in the night face. Now that he had entered the dark race, he didn't need to give anyone face. What's more, this was the outside world. Sha Jiao was alone. Even if he killed him, the Sand Race wouldn't know who did it. So what if they suspected him? In any case, the Sand Race couldn't blame Ling Xiao for the deaths of all their soldiers, right? Ling Xiao's killing intent began to brew. As he spoke, the terrifying shadow of a wolf gradually formed around him. At this moment, he was like the leader of a pack of black wolves, evil and powerful. The terrifying black gas caused the surrounding air to become cold. You really are a monster. If I don't kill you today, I'm afraid I won't be able to make a name for myself. Seeing that Ling Xiao had transformed into a black wolf general and was a huge werewolf that was 4 to 5 meters tall, he was shocked. The sand eagle felt a trace of fear, but more than that, it felt anger and hatred. He knew that Ling Xiao had to die. Moreover, he had to kill this guy today. Otherwise, he really wouldn't be this kid's match in the future. Facing the incoming pack of wolves, the sand eagle could feel the threat. Each of the wolf shadows had the power to destroy an ancient martial art practitioner of the first transition 2nd level of hell, or an ancient martial art practitioner of the 3rd level of hell. Although it couldn't kill him, It could definitely severely injure him. What's more, it wasn't just one wolf silhouette, but hundreds of them. They were densely packed, making one's scalp go numb. Sand Eagle knew that he could not be afraid. With a wave of his hand, 3 swords flew out from his storage ring at the same time. Then, 3 black suns appeared behind his back. They looked even more powerful than the attack he used to save Bain. Each of the black suns was formed by terrifying black sword chi and demonic fire. The blazing sword chi tore through the void. It was strange and unpredictable. The sword radiance pierced the wolf shadows, producing explosive sounds and shattering them one by one. Although this move consumed a lot of the Sand Eagle's Yin Yuan Qi, he still had a cold smile on his face. So your cultivation has broken through to the early stage of the first transition, 3rd level of hell. No wonder you dare to fight me. However, do you really think that your early stage cultivation can defeat me, who is at the peak of my cultivation? You overestimate yourself. The Sand Eagle already knew Ling Xiao's true cultivation after this collision. Although he was surprised that Ling Xiao could achieve a breakthrough in his cultivation in such a short time, he really didn't care about an early stage cultivation of the first transition, 3rd level of hell. One had to know that there was a tenfold difference between the early stage and middle stage cultivation. Early stage, middle stage, late stage, and peak stage. This was a difference of 30 times. How could he lose? Although he didn't know what happened to the Black Wolf General, he guessed that Ling Xiao had lost. The reason why he transformed into the Black Wolf General was to cover up his failure. He didn't expect Ling Xiao to be able to kill the Black Wolf General. It was true that Ling Xiao was strong, but after knowing Ling Xiao's true cultivation, the Sand Eagle wasn't afraid anymore. In fact, he even felt disdain and contempt for Ling Xiao in the depths of his heart. It seems that my father guessed correctly. You were so powerful at the Black Deity Mountain because of the array formation. Without the array formation, you are a piece of trash. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me when your cultivation is so different from mine? Today, I will send you on your way. At this moment, the Sand Eagle had forgotten the oath he had made. He hated Ling Xiao so much that he could throw the oath to the back of his mind. 3 suns, Black Sun Extinction Sword. The 3 black suns exploded with black sword chi. Like a roaring wind, they blasted towards Ling Xiao. Terrifying sword light shone in the void. However, it was a terrifying black light. Can't you see? The current you is no longer my opponent. Ling Xiao smiled coldly. He released the Sky Tyrant martial spirit again. Fighting in a place where there were no bystanders was cool enough. He could release the Sky Tyrant martial spirit without restraint to strengthen his combat strength. East Rising Purple Chi Sword, 1 sword destruction. Small success. This was the second move of the East Rising Purple Chi Sword, a move that Ling Xiao had just learned. After breaking through his cultivation, learning anything seemed to be much easier. The sword light flickered and easily struck the 3 black suns, preventing them from advancing any further. Stupid guy, you dare to touch my 3 black suns. You are simply Zhaori, black sun burning body. Sword injury to 5 organs. Die. The 3 black suns suddenly exploded. The terrifying heat seeped into Ling Xiao's heavy sword and then into Ling Xiao's body, destroying Ling Xiao directly from the inside. This was the most terrifying part of the Sand Eagle's Black Sun Sandstorm Sword. Who is the stupid one? Facing the Sand Eagle's sudden attack, Ling Xiao's expression did not change. A black hole appeared in the palm of his right hand. Shadow Ultimacy, Dark Prison. Since he had decided to kill the Sand Eagle, he did not care what martial arts he used. The Light Shadow Ultimacy could be used. Although it was not as strong as when he was at his peak, it was more than enough to deal with the Sand Eagle, especially when the Sky Tyrant martial spirit was released. The black hole became even larger in the boundless universe. The light of the 3 black suns were all swallowed by the black hole. Ling Xiao did this just to take advantage of the Sand Eagle's attack. Chapter 24:11. If he borrowed the Sand Eagle's powerful black sun power, Ling Xiao's cultivation would also break through a little faster. He couldn't wait. He couldn't wait to recover his former valiance. Until now, he didn't dare to inquire about the Heavenly Dynasty Empire's matters, because even if something happened, he couldn't help. There were also many enemies around him staring at him, and they could take his life at any time. In order to become stronger, he was willing to take any risk. Originally, with Ling Xiao's current strength, wanting to resist the power of this black sun-burning body wasn't difficult. However, he now took the initiative to use the black prison to devour this power into his body, in order to let himself break through as soon as possible under the stimulation of an even stronger external power, awakening the power sleeping in the body. The Sand Eagle's attack power was absolutely no small matter. But Ling Xiao could borrow the power of the tyrant martial spirit, coupled with the black prison, plus his own sturdy internal organs and meridians, to directly refine this power. That black sun power entered his body through the black prison. In an instant, his internal organs seemed to be instantly destroyed. The blazing temperature was about to completely melt the meridians in his body. However, Ling Xiao, who had long been tempered by the divine fire, already returned to normal after a moment of intense pain. His body was like a giant beast, greedily swallowing and absorbing this black sun power. This power fused into every one of his cells, continuously awakening the power sleeping because of reincarnation. At that moment, the crazy power that Ling Xiao once stored in his body began to unceasingly pour into his limbs and bones. In the reservoir of cultivation, large amounts of river water continuously poured in. The 1/3 of the energy that he previously obtained from the Black Wolf General had now reached 2/3, and it was still constantly increasing. This power originally belonged to him, but it was just sleeping in his cells. Now that it was awakened, he could directly use it. On his body, a resplendent light bloomed. The energy rapidly climbed from 2/3 to 100%. The reservoir of cultivation was completely full. This meant that his cultivation would advance from the early stage of the first transformation, 3 levels of hell, to the middle stage of the first transformation, 3 levels of hell. It also meant that his strength would obtain a huge increase. Ordinary reincarnation martial artists would increase their strength by 10 times when advancing a realm, while his strength would increase by nearly 20 times. This was also the key to why he was able to challenge those of a higher rank. If combined with his various powerful abilities, it would be a piece of cake for him to deal with the Sand Eagle, who was at the peak of the first transition, 3rd level of hell. Boom! Less than 2 hours after his breakthrough, Ling Xiao made another breakthrough. He had reached the middle stage of the 3rd level of hell of the Yin-Yang realm. Even if he didn't use his Sky Tyrant martial spirit, he could still kill the Sand Eagle. Moreover, he had already released his martial spirit of the Sky Tyrant martial spirit. A terrifying force roared between heaven and earth. With Ling Xiao as the center, a terrifying force field was formed. The surrounding gravel was stirred up by this force field, forming a huge storm. The scene was extremely shocking. What happened? The Sand Eagle's heart instantly fell to the bottom of the valley. He didn't understand. Facing Ling Xiao, he had already used his strongest killing move, the Black Sun sword technique. He wanted to kill Ling Xiao in a short time. He even wanted to use the power of the 3 black suns to destroy Ling Xiao from the inside. However, after the power of the black suns merged into Ling Xiao's body, it didn't have any effect. Instead, it stimulated the dormant power in Ling Xiao's body, causing Ling Xiao's strength to make another huge breakthrough. He's a monster! The Sand Eagle took a few steps back. He had never seen such a monster. In just a few hours, he had made consecutive breakthroughs. How could he continue to fight? At this moment, he even wanted to turn around and run away. No, I can't run away. If I run away, I will never be able to defeat him again. The sand eagle shook his head and finally stopped. The storm finally stopped. Ling Xiao's figure was exposed. The Sky Tyrant Martial Spirit's invincible power was completely released. This terrifying aura made the sand eagle's face turn even uglier. Was the Ling Xiao floating in the void really Ling Xiao? The ferocious black wolf incarnation. Each strand of its long black fur was like a sharp sword, causing people to feel a sense of undefeatable fear. What kind of martial spirit is this? What kind of power is this? How can it suppress my fighting spirit and make me so scared? My Black Sun sword technique is known for its ruthlessness. It took me a lot of effort to get it from the patriarch. How can it be suppressed by his martial spirit? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Kill him. Kill Ling Xiao. I want to kill this terrifying inner demon. The sand eagle had to use words to numb himself and make himself more confident. If he was completely suppressed by that aura, he wouldn't even have the slightest fighting spirit. He couldn't win the battle. Kill! The sand eagle held a sharp sword, and the sand martial spirit behind him condensed into a more dazzling black sun. Covered by the black sand, it looked more mysterious and powerful. Although there was only one black sun, it was more powerful than the previous three. Then his body flickered and turned into a dozen shadows in the void. In an instant he arrived in front of Ling Xiao. The sword stabbed out. The wind whistled. The black sun showed a terrifying demonic light. This sword was like an immortal god piercing the sky. The sword stabbed out with an imposing aura like the roaring sea. Clang! Ling Xiao looked at the scene coldly and raised the heavy sword in his hand. He accurately grasped the trajectory of the sword in the sand eagle's hand and then hit the opponent's sword with a natural trajectory. Black sun flame. Black sand bloodthirsty. Take my fist. The sharp sword was blocked by Ling Xiao. The sand eagle wasn't afraid. He suddenly condensed his left hand into a fist. A terrifying black sand giant formed behind him. There was a halo behind the giant, which was the light released by the black sun. This fist directly hit Ling Xiao's body. However, Ling Xiao suddenly moved the heavy sword to his left hand and blocked the sand eagle's sword. His right hand collided with the sand eagle's left fist. At that moment, a terrifying suction force was released from the sand eagle's fist. Ha ha ha! You little thief, Ling Xiao, you're dead meat. My black sun sword skill, combined with the sand martial spirit, can greatly enhance the power of the sand martial spirit. You can just wait to become a dried-up human being. Sha Jiao wasn't afraid of Ling Xiao's exquisite battle technique blocking his attack. Instead, he laughed excitedly, because he wanted to make contact with Ling Xiao. Even if he couldn't touch his opponent's body, as long as he could touch his opponent's arm, it would be enough. What a joke! Do you think you can defeat the current me? A cold voice came out from Ling Xiao's mouth. His body instantly entered the tyrant blood, demonic dragon, martial spirit transformation state. Then a terrifying power was released from his right hand. The air was filled with the smell of blood. Tyrant blood, demonic dragon blood curse. Chapter 24:12. The moment the secret technique was unleashed, the sand eagle screamed. Sand eagle suddenly screamed. He found that his blood seemed to have a life of its own and was about to leave his body. He lost control of his blood and power. The giant sandman behind him crumbled. What the hell? The sand eagle retreated in fear. But it was already too late. Ling Xiao spat out a beam of black light from his mouth. Ling Xiao shot out the shadow all that had killed many powerhouses in the past. It pierced the sand eagle's throat. Although the sand eagle retreated very quickly, it was of no use. In a straight line, he couldn't be faster than the shadow wall. You, I don't want to die. The sand eagle's body collapsed in the desert. He didn't understand what had happened until the moment of his death. Why? Why did he lose so miserably? Why did Ling Xiao seem like an invincible god of war? looking at the sand eagle's corpse and Bai Yin's corpse that had been thrown aside. Ling Xiao smiled coldly and kept both corpses in his beast ring for the time being. He had already thought of how he would report this. The sand eagle had tried to kill him, but had mistaken him for someone else and killed Bai Yin. Then the sand eagle was killed by the Heilang general. Ling Xiao was the one who had killed the Heilang general and avenged the sand eagle. He wasn't one to hold grudges against the sand eagle. Not only would Ling Xiao be spared, but he would also become the hero of Mount 8 Immortals. Whether or not the Sand Tribe and the Dark Tribe believed him, they would have to thank him on the surface. Besides, Bai Yin had been killed by the Sand Eagle. The Sand Tribe and the Dark Tribe were now enemies. Even though Bai Yin was only an outsider, she was still one of the top 3 outsiders and was highly valued by the Dark Tribe. Even if the Dark Tribe didn't declare war on the Sand Tribe, they would still hold a grudge. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao could not help but reveal a cold smile. The Sand Tribe didn't care about the Dark Tribe in the first place. It was normal for the Sand Tribe and the Dark Tribe to become enemies. He didn't feel the slightest bit of guilt. Time to go back. He tore through the air and disappeared into the desert in the blink of an eye. While he was passing by, there was already news from the White Wolf County City in the small inn. The waiter who had warned Ling Xiao not to go to White Wolf County City before was now stunned as he listened to a cultivator who was passing by White Wolf County City spit everywhere. Let me tell you, General Heilang was killed by 8 Immortals Mountain's disciple, Ling Xiao. With just one move, that huge purple sword pierced through the Black Wolf General's body. Eastern Purple Chi Sword? Yes, it's the East Rising Purple Chi Sword, a high-level jade, grade martial skill. This Ling Xiao is really too strong. I think he passed by here before going to White Wolf County City. Haven't you seen him before? When the shop assistant heard this, he couldn't help but mutter to himself. Impossible. He actually killed General Black Wolf. This was too strong. Fortunately, I didn't offend that person. Otherwise, I would definitely be dead. Actually, why would Ling Xiao feel bad for a waiter? After he left White Wolf County City, he went straight to 8 Immortals Mountain and went to the Dark Tribe to report to No Light in the night what had happened. He also handed over Sha Diao and Bai Yin's corpses. At this time, the Dark Tribe and the Outer Tribe, Qingluan Hua and Lin Yang, were surrounded by a group of Outer Tribe disciples. Qingluan Hua's mission was relatively simple, but she still failed. Because someone had interfered, she had no choice but to return early. In the end, she didn't even get a good high-level jade grade martial skill. Who knew that when she returned, she would see Lin Yang being surrounded by a group of people. Hence, she joined in the battle. From the beginning of the battle until now, it had already lasted for a total of 3 hours. Although the 2 of them were not weak, their opponents were too many and they were still beaten up until they were covered in injuries. In addition, the 2 of them were not as vicious and merciless as Ling Xiao, so they really did not dare to kill. Hence, they were restrained and could not use their full strength. Senior Sister Qing, why are you doing this? My skin is rough and I don't mind being beaten up, but you can't get hurt or the boss will skin me alive. Lin Yang was annoyed that he was unlucky to have dragged Qingluan Hua into this. This was the last thing he wanted to see. Didn't you notice? These people are ruthless. If you were alone, you would have been killed by now. Qingluan Hua said with a serious face. That's not right. They are all Dark Tribe disciples. How dare they kill people? Lin Yang was shocked. Why wouldn't they dare? If they had someone backing them, they would have dared to kill and burn. At most, they would be punished. Qingluan Hua sighed. Then what should we do? If this continues, we will be dead for sure. Lin Yang did not want to die. He had just stepped into 8 Immortals Mountain. How could he want to die? He still had a bright future ahead of him. If you don't want to die, swear to cut ties with Ling Xiao. Otherwise, both of you will die today. One of the people besieging them shouted. F***CK off. Even if I die, I will not betray the boss. If you want me to cut ties with the boss, it will be over. It was true that Lin Yang was afraid of death, but he had a strong sense of brotherhood in his bones. Even if he died, he would not betray Ling Xiao. This was his most simple feeling. I can't do that either. Ling Xiao dared to fight with the Lord of Purple Immortal Mountain to save me. If I betray him, I will be worse than a beast. Qingwan Hua shook her head. She would never do such a thing. In the past, Ling Yan was so unlucky, but she, Qingwan Hua, did not choose to betray Ling Yan. Today, she would not betray Ling Xiao. In that case, both of you can die. The foreign disciples besieging Qingwan Hua and Lin Yang sped up their attacks and became more ferocious. Lin Yang and Qingwan Hua struggled to hold on, but the wounds on their bodies were increasing. They did not know what they were expecting or waiting for, but they had a feeling that they had to hold on. As long as they did not die, there would be hope. Just as the two of them were about to be blinded by blood, suddenly, over 100 of the foreign disciples who had surrounded them fell to the ground. Black Wolf Pack kill! A familiar voice came from afar. Shadows of wolves began to bite the warriors besieging them. Those who hurt my friends, die! Ling Xiao had returned. He would not show mercy like Lin Yang and Qingwan Hua. When he attacked, it was to kill. These people had treated his friends so badly. If he did not kill these bastards, who would dare to make friends with him in the future? There were more than 200 warriors besieging Qingwan Hua and Lin Yang. Ling Xiao released the Black Wolf Pack kill twice, and all of them fell into a pool of blood. The scene was extremely horrifying and strange. Are you two okay? Chapter 24:13. Boss! Ling Xiao, Lin Yang, and Qingwan Hua were overjoyed to see Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao had become their pillar of support. We're fine. We're just a little tired and have some external injuries. Lin Yang and Qingwan Hua were in a similar situation. They had fought with their lives on the line, and that was enough. But boss, you killed so many people. Will the Dark Ones come after you? Lin Yang asked worriedly. Come after me? Do you think I'm the only one who can do whatever I want? These bastards wanted to kill you, so I killed them. That's how it works. If you want to blame someone, you can only blame the Dark Ones for not being strict enough. 200 outsiders ganged up on 2 outsiders on Mount 8 Immortal. Ling Xiao was confident that no light in the night would pay more attention to him now that his cultivation had improved. Besides, he had just killed the Heilang general. It would be foolish of the Dark Ones to oppress him now. Even if the Dark Ones did come after him, he wouldn't regret his decision. His good brother and good friend were besieged and almost killed. If he didn't say anything and only cared about his own life, then he would really regret it. Come, let's go to my house. Ling Xiao brought Lin Yang and Qingwan Hua into his wooden house. He then gave them healing pills to help them heal and recover their energy. He then took out 2 yin yang breakthrough pills and gave them to Lin Yang. Brother, haven't you been worrying about how to break through? You can break through to the 3rd layer of hell with these pills. Also, you don't have to learn those inferior high-tier jade grade martial skills. This time I made a trip to the White Wolf County City and obtained a few good high-tier jade grade martial skills. You two can have 1 each. Lin Yang, you have the Heavenly Demon Spider, so you can learn this spring breeze healing art. This high-tier jade grade martial art was a combination of a high-tier jade grade cultivation technique and a high-tier jade grade martial skill. All of them are of good quality. When used, the spring rain will fill the sky like silk. It works well with your Heavenly Demon Spider incarnation, making it extremely powerful. Boss, this is too valuable. I can't accept it. Lin Yang hurriedly shook his head. Nonsense. If you don't want it, I'll throw it away. Ling Xiao glanced at Lin Yang and said, Since we're good brothers, if you don't accept this small gift, then what's the point of talking? Boss, don't be angry. I will accept it. If I knew that you were so powerful, why would I join the 8 Immortals Mountain? With this martial art, I can absolutely run amok in the 8 Immortals Mountain. Lin Yang said excitedly, Another benefit of entering the upper 8 Immortal Mountain is that the competition will be even more intense. This will be of great help to the advancement of one's martial arts path. After Ling Xiao finished speaking, he looked at the Qingyuan flower and said, "Although you had a high-grade jade-grade martial skill before, it was only a low-grade martial skill. I have a set of 100 flower arts here. It contains cultivation methods and martial skills. It's the same as Lin Yang's set. It's of good quality and very suitable for girls to cultivate. Moreover, I notice that you're walking the feminine path. The martial skills in this set of 100 flower arts will definitely be useful and powerful for you. All right, you guys cultivate here. I'll protect you, especially Lin Yang. You're about to break through. You can't be disturbed. Don't talk nonsense with me. Let's begin." Afraid that Lin Yang would nag again, Ling Xiao said firmly. Lin Yang and the Qingyuan flower did not hold back. Both of them sat cross-legged and began to cultivate. After a full 4 hours, Lin Yang opened his eyes. Ha ha ha, the early stage of the 3rd layer of hell. This feeling is indeed several times stronger than the 2nd layer of hell, Lin Yang said excitedly. Not long after, the Qingyuan flower also opened her eyes. This 100 flower arts seems to be tailor-made for me. It's really amazing. I only cultivated for 4 hours, and I feel like I'm about to break through. Although I haven't cultivated the 100 flower arts martial skill, I believe that it will be very powerful. That's good. If you guys become stronger, it'll be easier for us to survive. Ling Xiao nodded. He was very satisfied with the increase in strength of his 2 friends. As for the Qingyuan flower and Lin Yang, they were very grateful to Ling Xiao. To be honest, if they didn't meet Ling Xiao, they would have been at the bottom of the mountain. The 2 of them were probably still at the bottom of the 8 Immortals Mountain. It was impossible for them to advance. They wouldn't have been able to obtain a high-grade, jade-grade martial skill. Boss, I won't say any more words of thanks. I won't say them anyway. In short, from now on, if you want me to go through a mountain of swords or a sea of fire, I won't even frown. The stronger I become, the higher my position in the Lin family. Now, the Lin family has some differences on whether to support you or not. When I become stronger, I'll definitely suppress those differences and fully support you. Lin Yang said loudly. Me too. If there's anything you need, don't hesitate to ask. You didn't just save my life. You also helped me break through. I won't forget, the Qingyuan flower said seriously. Then I won't stand on ceremony. Maybe I'll need you guys in the future. Thank you in advance. Ling Xiao nodded and didn't decline. In Ling Xiao's opinion, the relationship between friends should not be as simple as water. There should be mutual benefits. If someone was willing to give up their life for you, then that was a true life and death friend. If there was no need for each other, then they couldn't be called friends. They could only be friends by chance. What, Sha Jiao is dead? How could he be dead? Was he killed by the Heilang general? Ling Xiao's side was filled with joy. However, the San clan's side was filled with sadness. Originally, only Sha Lin, Sha Tongtian, and a few others knew that Sha Jiao had left the San clan. They didn't think anything could have happened to him. After all, Ling Xiao couldn't use the array to deal with Sha Jiao outside. However, they just received news that Sha Jiao had been killed. Sha Lin was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood. It wasn't the Heilang general. It was probably Ling Xiao who did it. The messenger reported. We met the second-in-command of the Heilang army in the 8 Immortal City. From what he said, Ling Xiao not only killed Sha Jiao, but also Bai Yin and the Heilang general. What? How can he be so strong? Sha Lin looked at the messenger in disbelief. Although it's unbelievable, it's the truth. The messenger said, just now, the Dark Clan spy reported that Ling Xiao directly handed over the bodies of Bai Yin and Sha Jiao to No Light in the night. He also said that the young master killed Bai Yin and was killed by the Heilang general. In addition, the Heilang general's body was also handed over to the Dark Tower. That kid obtained a top-grade high-tier jade grade movement technique. Thousandly wolf traversal. If that kid succeeds in cultivating this movement technique, it will be even more difficult to kill him. Bastard, he killed my son and still wants to frame me. How shameless. Sha Lin roared. Chapter 24:14. Although Sarah knew that Ling Xiao killed Xiaodiao and Baiyin, he didn't have any evidence. Could he ask the Black Wolf soldiers to testify? Don't joke. Those people would only make things more complicated. If the 8 Immortal Mountain knew that the Sand Race colluded with the Black Wolf soldiers, they would be in trouble even if they weren't afraid. The higher-ups of the 8 Immortal Mountain would have to punish the Sand Race just for show. It wasn't worth it. So this time, even if Ling Xiao killed Xiaodiao, he could only endure it. He also had to be on guard against the Dark Race causing trouble for the Sand Race. A mere Ling Xiao really put the Sand Race in a passive position. Damn that Ling Xiao. If there's a chance, I won't let him go. Men, bring gifts and visit the Dark Race's Elder Hidden Flower. The only thing Saren could do now was to collude with Hidden Flower. He knew from his spies that Hidden Flower didn't get along with Ling Xiao. Perhaps he could really help him. Ling Xiao naturally didn't know what Saren was doing behind the scenes. At this time, he was practicing the Wolf Travels 1,000 Li movement technique in his room. The Wolf Travels 1,000 Li was a top-tier, high-tier jade movement technique. It was a comprehensive study of the wolf's combat movement technique. In the end, it was a strange movement technique. If Ling Xiao used it in his human form, it would be much stronger than most high-tier jade movement techniques. If he used it in his Black Wolf general form, it would be even more unpredictable and terrifying. At this time, it was even stronger than the Shadow Step and faster than the Light, Flash, Godly technique. Of course, the Shadow Step and Light, Flash, Godly technique would be better in the future, but the most suitable one was the best. Right now, Ling Xiao was practicing the 1,000-Mile Wolf in order to increase his battle strength. He got this movement technique from the Dark Tower as a reward for killing the Black Wolf general. The reason why he chose movement techniques instead of martial skills was that Ling Xiao found that there weren't any martial skills that were suitable for him in the Dark Tower. In addition, he now had the Eastern Purple Chi Sword, Violent Thunder Art, and Lava Storm. Martial skills and secret techniques could wait. What he wanted the most was the martial skill that he comprehended from the Dark Shadow Black Gourd. It should not be bad. Just as he was cultivating, there was a knock on the door. Ling Xiao opened his eyes and saw that it was no light in the night, so he walked out. He did not want to disturb Lin Yang and the Qingwan flower's cultivation. "Greetings, Lord Doyen." On the surface, Ling Xiao was still very respectful towards no light in the night. After all, this guy had helped him before. Although he was a little against him now, it was because he wanted to take him in as his adopted son. He was not deliberately making things difficult for him. It was understandable. Different people naturally had to be treated differently. Then, he wouldn't respect Hidden Flower and Nightwalker so much. "Brett, you're really ruthless. You actually killed so many people." No Light in the Night said with a smile, "Lord Doyen, are you here to punish me?" Ling Xiao asked. "That's not it. At first, the Patriarch and Elder Hidden Flower wanted to punish you, but I stopped them. Since the Dark Ones allowed those people to attack the Qingwan Flower and Lin Yang, it's unreasonable for them to punish you. We can't do such unfair things. Otherwise, how can we convince our disciples in the future?" No Light in the Night shook his head. "Thank you, Lord Doyen, for speaking up for justice." Ling Xiao sighed in relief. Although he wasn't afraid of people questioning him, it was still troublesome. Now that No Light in the Night had stopped them, it was naturally a good thing for him. "You actually know how to thank people? Forget it. Let's not talk about this. I'm just thinking for the Dark Ones, not just for you." No Light in the Night shook his head. "I'm here to announce your reward. You killed General Hailing and avenged by Een of the 8 Immortals Mountain. You've also spread the name of 8 Immortals Mountain throughout the White Wolf County. It'll be very beneficial to our business in the future. That's why the patriarch wants me to agree to 2 reasonable requests. You can make your requests now, but they must be reasonable. I can't agree to anything that's too outrageous. Can you give me a few more top-grade jade rank martial arts techniques? Ling Xiao asked with a smile. Do you think those are trash on the street? You think I'll give them to you just because you want them? Deal. No Light in the Night shook his head. If you don't give me the top-grade jade rank martial arts techniques, I'm guessing you won't give me the top-grade pills either. Naturally, you won't give me the top-grade weapons either, right? That's right. You're really stingy. Ling Xiao pursed his lips. Lord Doyen, I've heard that the 5th floor of the ghost prison is a good place to cultivate. Why don't you let me in? Since he couldn't accept the benefits, Ling Xiao made a request that he really wanted to fulfill. He wanted to check out the situation in the 5th floor of the ghost prison and see how Ling Yan was doing. The 5th floor of the ghost prison was a place to imprison serious criminals. At the same time, it was an excellent place to cultivate. Ordinary people didn't have the qualifications to enter. Your request is really weird. It really surprised me. I've heard that you and Ling Yan are good brothers. Don't tell me you want to go in and save him? No Light in the Night stared at Ling Xiao and asked, Lord Doyen really knows how to joke. Do you really think I can save him with my current strength? I just want to go in and see how he's doing. You won't even agree to this small request, right? Ling Xiao said. You can go in, but I have to warn you. Ling Yan is a serious criminal. Don't even think about saving him. Of course, if you can surpass all the martial artists in the 8 Immortals County one day, then I won't care. But now is definitely not the time. Also, the requirement to enter the 5th floor of the ghost prison is very high. Only those who have reached the 5th floor of hell are qualified to enter. But since you've made this request, if I still don't agree, then I'll seem insincere. But you have to call me adoptive father. No Light in the Night revealed a roguish smile. I won't call you that. Ling Xiao said resolutely. Lord Doyen, you're making things difficult for me. With your age, you can have as many sons as you want. Why do you insist on having me as your adoptive son? Because you're outstanding. No Light in the Night said with a smile. How about it? I'll ask you again. If you don't agree, then don't go to the 5th floor of the ghost prison. Then forget it. Anyway, I can still go in when my cultivation reaches that level. There's no need to trouble Lord Doyen. Ling Xiao was determined to not call No Light in the Night his adoptive father. Besides, this wasn't a matter of life and death, so he wasn't in a hurry. Because even if he went in now, he wouldn't be able to save Ling Yan. Kid, you're really stubborn. Forget it. I'm just joking with you. I agree to this request. You can go to the 5th floor of the ghost prison at any time, but I have to remind you not to act recklessly. You can't afford to offend the prisoners there. No Light in the Night sighed. Thank you, Lord Doyen. Ling Xiao hurriedly thanked him. All right, don't say thanks. What's the second request? Chapter 24:15. No Light in the Night wanted to use all means possible to make Ling Xiao his adopted son. He didn't believe that he wouldn't be able to coax Ling Xiao into becoming his adopted son. As for my second request, I need a spirit gem that is at least mid-grade or above, or a treasure that can repair one's soul. Can you tell me where I can get it? Ling Xiao had made this request because of the Yuan Venerate and the Divine Book. The butterfly lady needed spirit stones, which he already had. On the other hand, the Yuan Venerate and the Divine Book needed treasures that could repair one's soul. This was especially true for the brocade treasure he had obtained in White Wolf Prefecture City. Given his abilities, he simply couldn't identify it. If he wanted the help of the Yuan Venerate, he would have to consume his spirit power. However, the Yuan Venerate had just recovered some energy, and he didn't want the Yuan Venerate to turn into ashes. Therefore, spirit treasures were extremely important. The Divine Book, which had been fed with spirit gems, had obviously become much stronger and might be able to help him a lot in the future. The stronger the Divine Book, the stronger the secret technique soared. This wasn't a bad thing for Ling Xiao either. You'll have to go to the inner hall of the reward, virtue, and punishment evil hall to ask. There might be something you need there. In principle, you can use contribution points to exchange for items in the inner hall. However, there are other methods. For example, you can use the 1,000-mile wolf traversing wolf to complete missions assigned to you. No Light in the Night replied, the inner hall master is from the snake race. There are also 3 deputy hall masters from the sword race, the sand race, and the dark race. The dark race's deputy hall master is my big brother, Dark Knight William. I think he has a pretty good impression of you. Go look for him, and you might be able to find what you want. However, even though you are a disciple of the upper 8 Immortal Mountain and can enter the inner hall, you're still a disciple of the outer race. Anything you buy or exchange will be more expensive. Why don't you just become my adopted son? At the very least, you can save half of your contribution points or spirit stones. No, think about it again. I said I don't want it. Why haven't I seen someone like you forcing others to become your son? Ling Xiao's attitude was still firm. Kid, you'll agree one day. All right, you've made 2 requests, and I'll help you fulfill them. When you go to the inner hall, you can mention my name. For my sake, as long as it's not too expensive, I'll definitely sell it to you at a cheap price, or even give it to you for free. Let's go. Perhaps No Light in the Night felt that he couldn't force Ling Xiao to change his mind, so he obviously changed his strategy. He no longer forced Ling Xiao. Instead, he adopted the strategy of giving benefits, so that Ling Xiao would owe him a favor. After a while, he didn't believe that Ling Xiao wouldn't call him father. Even his biological father was only like this, right? After No Light in the Night left, Ling Xiao returned to the wooden house, only to find Jian Qingwan and Lin Yang looking at him nervously. Are you all right, boss? What could be wrong? Not only did Grand Elder No Light in the Night not punish me, he even agreed to 2 of my conditions. Right, one of them is to visit Ling Yan on the 5th floor of the ghost prison. Of course, nominally I'm going there to cultivate. Ling Xiao looked at Qingwan. You're going alone? Qingwan couldn't help but worry. Although you're strong, the 5th floor of the ghost prison isn't a good place. I'm afraid you can't do it alone. Don't worry, I'm not going there to save anyone. I just want to see Ling Yan and understand the situation. Only by coordinating from the inside and outside can we succeed. Otherwise, if we make a plan carelessly, the chances of success will be extremely low. Ling Xiao explained. I see. Since that's the case, I'm relieved. Qingwan immediately breathed a sigh of relief. You don't have to worry. Hurry up and cultivate. I'm going to the inner hall of the Hall of Good and Evil in a bit. Ling Xiao said. If you have something to do, go do it. I think after what happened just now, no one will dare to make trouble for us. Besides, you can't guard us for the rest of our lives, right? Both of our strengths have increased. As long as an outer clan disciple comes looking for trouble, they won't be able to do anything to us. Qingwan said. That's right, boss. If you have something to do, go do it. Lin Yang said. All right, I'll familiarize myself with the wolf travels 1,000 miles and then go. This movement technique would be used frequently by Ling Xiao in the future. He had to cultivate it well first. After all, the shadow steps and light, flash, godly technique couldn't be made public. Besides, they weren't as powerful as the wolf travels 1,000 miles. The 3 of them continued to cultivate. Ling Xiao was still eager to improve his strength, and his next opportunity was the test of the Shadow Black Gourd. First, he had to become the number 1 Outer Clan disciple. The number 3 Outer Clan disciple, Bai Yin, had already been killed by him. Only the number 1 Outer Clan disciple, Su Mo, and the number 2 Outer Clan disciple, Lin Fengyan, were left. If there was no enmity between them, he wouldn't have killed them. However, he had to defeat them. Otherwise, he wouldn't be qualified to come into contact with the Shadow Black Gourd. The wolf travels 1,000 miles was a top jade grade movement technique. Naturally, it was very difficult to cultivate. There were many ordinary Yin-Yang realm warriors who couldn't cultivate it in their lifetime. It was already very difficult for some talented people to cultivate it to the initial success level. Extremely powerful geniuses could only cultivate it to the expert or great success level. Those who could cultivate it to the great perfection level could be called the top geniuses in the 8 Immortals County. As for the perfection level, there had never been anyone in the 8 Immortals County. However, even though the wolf travels 8,000 miles was so difficult to cultivate, Ling Xiao only used 2 hours to cultivate it to the expert level. This terrifying speed of comprehension was not only due to the powerful analytical ability of the Sky Tyrant Martial Spirit. There was also the experience that Ling Xiao had gained from cultivating it over the years. For example, he was good at the Divine Light Travel Technique and the Shadow Step. Their movement techniques were basically the same. Therefore, cultivating the Wolf Travels 8,000 miles was much easier than cultivating other combat techniques. If others knew that he had cultivated the Wolf Travels 8,000 miles to the expert level in just 2 hours, they would probably go crazy with jealousy. If no light in the night knew, he would be even crazier to adopt him as his son. After cultivating it to the expert level, the next level of improvement would probably have to be honed through actual combat. Studying it alone wouldn't have much effect. Therefore, Ling Xiao stood up and stepped out of the wooden house. Before he left, he hung a sign outside his wooden house. Unauthorized personnel are not to be disturbed. Violators will be severely punished. This was his territory. He had the right to set up this sign. Based on the fact that he had killed more than 200 Outer Clan disciples in a fit of rage, the deterrence of his sign was definitely not bad. After leaving the wooden house, Ling Xiao went straight to the inner hall of the Reward Kindness and Punish Evil Hall. The inner hall was located in a different place from the outer hall. It occupied a larger area. When he got close to it, he could smell a special aura that made him feel dizzy. Chapter 24:16. Ling Xiao hadn't reached the inner hall yet. 7 or 8 youths about 17 or 18 years old were walking toward him. They were obviously Inner Clan disciples, and they happened to be Dark Clan disciples. They were stunned when they saw that Ling Xiao was wearing the Outer Clan uniform of the Dark Clan, because he was a stranger. "Kid, did you just join the Dark Clan?" One of the youths arrogantly blocked Ling Xiao's path and asked. Ling Xiao glanced at the person indifferently. His cultivation was not weak. He was at the late stage of the 3rd level of the Hell. If it were in the past, Ling Xiao would have a hard time dealing with such an opponent. But today he was not afraid. He didn't even pay attention to the person. He walked straight to the inner hall of the Hall of Good and Evil. When he passed by the person, he took a detour. He couldn't be bothered to deal with these guys because he had important business to attend to. But how could an Inner Clan disciple be ignored? The 7 or 8 youths blocked the entire path. "Kid, we're asking you a question. You're just an Outer Clan disciple. Why don't you kneel and kowtow to us Inner Clan disciples? What's your name?" These youths were all very strong. They were much stronger than the disciples of 8 Immortal Mountain. It was normal for them to be so arrogant and have such an attitude. Ling Xiao stood there and looked at them coldly. "My name is Ling Xiao. What do you want from me?" A cold smile appeared on his face. "Ling Xiao, the Ling Xiao who stabbed Senior Brother and Fei Tian." A cry of surprise came from the crowd. "This guy is not to be trifled with. Listen to Senior Brother and Fei Tian. Don't provoke him. Let's go." Someone else said. It seemed that Ling Xiao's notoriety was very well known in 8 Immortal Mountain. When the Inner Clan disciples heard this, they were a little fearful. "What are you afraid of? Let's kill him and avenge Senior Brother and Fei Tian." Naturally, there were those who were not afraid of him. After all, Ling Xiao was just a disciple who had just been promoted to the 8 Immortals Mountain. It was normal for them not to be afraid. Someone is coming. This is the inner hall of the Hall of Good Rewards and Evil Punishments. It's best not to cause trouble. If you cause trouble, this trash will at most be sent back to Black Immortal Mountain. It won't be much of a loss. We're doomed. Let's go. In the end, these people still chose to leave. But before he left, he said, "Ling Shao, don't go back to the Dark Ones if you dare. Otherwise, you'll suffer. Let's go." Watching the inner clan disciples leave, Ling Shao couldn't help but sneer. If it wasn't for the fact that this was the inner hall of the Hall of Good and Evil, and he didn't want to cause trouble for himself, he would definitely teach these people a lesson. He hoped that they wouldn't be stupid enough to provoke him again. He continued to walk forward. The majestic building in the inner hall came into view. The most eye-catching thing was one of the white pagodas. If he wasn't mistaken, that was the core of some great formation. It maintained the safety of the inner hall. If this great formation was broken, the inner hall would never have a day of peace. After all, it wasn't easy to rely on people to defend it. Stop! Just as Ling Shao was about to step into the inner hall, a thunderous roar suddenly came from the sky. Then, two giants about 6 to 7 meters tall jumped out from behind the door, wielding weapons and wearing armor. The roar just now was made when they were in the air. Ling Shao stopped in his tracks and looked at the two giants calmly. They were emitting a cold, murderous intent. It was obvious that they were targeting him. If he dared to step into the inner hall, the two giants would definitely attack him. The two giants emitted a terrifying aura. They were like Kwafu from the ancient times. Each giant's cultivation was at the early stage of the Yin-Yang realm level 4. Although they weren't reincarnation realm martial artists, their cultivation was enough to stop most of the ignorant disciples who dared to break into the inner hall. Anyway, he didn't expect them to guard the treasures in the inner hall. There was the great formation and the true experts inside. These two giants were probably just in charge of guarding the door. Don't underestimate these giants. They had the blood of the Kwafu clan flowing in their bodies. They were extremely strong and could easily defeat their enemies, even if their cultivation was the same. An early-stage Kwafu clan giant at the 4th level of Hell could easily defeat more than 10 human martial artists of the same cultivation. More importantly, their meridians were thick and their bodies could contain more elemental energy. Although their breakthroughs were slow, they gained more with each breakthrough. The giant guards looked at Ling Shao coldly. Their attitude was very domineering. Their mission was to prevent sneaky people from entering the inner hall. If anyone tried to force their way in, they could kill them on the spot. Although Ling Shao was not afraid of these two giants, the strength that he possessed was much greater than these two giants. However, he didn't want to fight them head-on for the same reason as before. If he fought in the inner hall of the Hall of Good and Evil, it would cause a lot of trouble. "I'm Ling Shao, a disciple of the Upper 8 Immortal Mountain and an outsider of the Dark Tribe. I'm here to exchange my contribution points. Please make way." Ling Shao cupped his hands in a humble manner. After all, guarding the door was their duty. Being fierce was also to intimidate the enemy. Therefore, he didn't blame these two giants. However, what they said next made him angry. "Ling Shao, I've never heard of you. Get out of here." Ling Shao saw a hint of mockery and ridicule in the eyes of these two giants. He suddenly understood that someone must have given these two giants some benefits to deliberately make things difficult for him. Thinking of this, he smiled coldly and raised his identity card. "You don't recognize me, but you can't not recognize my identity card, right? All disciples of the Upper 8 Immortal Mountain are qualified to enter the inner hall of the Hall of Good and Evil. You won't stop me, right? Sorry, we can't read. Get out of here, or don't blame us for being rude." The two giants sneered. Ling Zhao's face suddenly became gloomy. "You're just watchdogs of the Hall of Good and Evil. How dare you break the rules? Aren't you afraid that the Hall Master will punish you? Bastard, how dare you scold us? It seems that you're really as arrogant as the rumors say. If you dare say another word, we'll chop you into minced meat." The two giants roared almost at the same time. "A piece of trash who just stepped into the Upper 8 Immortal Mountain dares to provoke us. You're courting death." One of them suddenly waved the giant blade in his hand. It was like a blade that could tear the sky apart and cut down on Ling Shao. Boom! A terrible boom sounded. It was the sound of the giant blade rubbing against the air. It was like thunder. If this saber really slashed down, even a sturdy building would be directly cut in half. If Ling Xiao really got hit, he would be turned into minced meat. The giant guard really didn't show any mercy and wanted to cripple him. He would never be merciful to such people. So what if they were in the inner hall? Being attacked by the other party was different from the previous view in different comments. Chapter 24:17. You two stupid watchdogs. Do you really think I'm afraid of you? I'm just giving you face. I don't know who sent you to deal with me. But today, you two watchdogs deserve to die. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with indifference. Killing intent radiated from his body as his black wolf general martial soul transformed and covered his entire body. He raised his sharp claws and easily caught the giant blade that was coming at him. The giant attacking Ling Xiao couldn't help but be stunned. His giant blade weighed over 1,000 kilograms. Only he could lift it so easily. Moreover, he knew very well how terrifying his attack was. How could this young man catch the giant blade with one hand? His hand was as tough as diamond, and there wasn't the slightest trace of damage. How dare you resist? You're courting death. The other giant stabbed at Ling Xiao with a giant trident. He actually wanted the two of them to work together to kill Ling Xiao. However, Ling Xiao caught the trident with ease. One in each hand, the two giants' expressions changed drastically. But things weren't over yet. Ling Xiao's body flashed with electricity. The lightning passed through the two weapons and directly entered the bodies of the two giants. When the two giants were struck by the terrifying electric current, they immediately let out earth-shattering cries of agony. Their bodies were almost completely charred black. How is this possible? You're just a new disciple of the Upper Eight Immortal Mountain. How can an outsider of the Dark clan be so strong? Although the two giants were injured, they weren't dead yet. The physique of the giants was not just for show, it was really very strong. Ling Xiao looked at them coldly. Can I go in now? Yes, of course you can. The two giants didn't dare yell at Ling Xiao. They were knocked down by Ling Xiao in a single move. Only then did they realize how terrifying this young man was. By the way, who ordered you to do this? Lightning danced above Ling Xiao's hands, clearly threatening the other party. If the other party answered carelessly, the lightning would directly blast them to death. Young Master and Fei Yan. The two giants didn't dare to hide anything and could only speak cautiously. And Fei Tian again? There was no end to this. You're just as reckless as your two guard dogs. Fine, since he wants to deal with me. Then don't blame me for being impolite. I don't care if you're the son of the Dark Tribe's leader. I'll play you to death. Ling Xiao sneered and walked towards the Hall of Good and Evil. As for whether the battle here would alert the Hall of Virtue and Punishment for Vice, he didn't know. He didn't have the time to care so much now. Since he had already made his move, there was nothing to regret. The two giant guards trembled in fear as they watched Ling Xiao step into the inner hall. They couldn't wait for this demon to leave. They had been guarding this place for many years. In the past, even if they met someone stronger than them, they didn't dare to act rashly. After all, their identities were not ordinary. However, this brat was simply a madman. Not only was his strength so strong that it shocked them, but he also attacked without the slightest hesitation. It was as if he was not afraid of anything at all. This person was someone they couldn't afford to offend. As soon as Ling Xiao stepped into the inner hall, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. This person was about 30 years old and had a dignified appearance. He was wearing the clothes of the Dark Tribe, so he should be a Dark Tribe warrior. He looked at the two black-skinned giant guards outside the door and frowned slightly. Then he looked at Ling Xiao and said, "You must be Ling Xiao. Alas, I'm still a step too late. It was Dark Knight Vice Hall Master who asked me to come. He was afraid that you would clash with the giant guards. I didn't expect you to be so strong that you could subdue them, but this is also troublesome. Forget it, come with me." Dark Knight Vice Hall Master will help you solve this problem. When this person spoke, although he tried his best to sound friendly, Ling Xiao felt that it was very fake. Ling Xiao couldn't help but suspect that this person had bad intentions. He said indifferently, "There's no need to trouble senior brother. I know what I'm doing. Besides, I'm here to exchange for things in the inner hall of the good and evil hall. I'm not in a hurry to see Dark Knight Vice Hall Master. It's not good to trouble him with what happened outside. You're too arrogant. Do you know that? This is the inner hall, different from the outer hall. If you don't have someone familiar to lead the way for you, I'm afraid that no one will know if you die halfway. Any of the formations, traps, and mechanisms here can take your life. If your cultivation hasn't reached the peak of the 3rd level of hell, or the peak of the 4th level of hell, it's impossible. With your strength, you'll definitely get into trouble if you walk around rashly. It's better to obediently follow behind me." That person frowned and then said very seriously. There was a sense of coldness and arrogance in his voice. Obviously, he was unhappy with Ling Xiao's attitude. "I've said that there's no need. Senior brother, if you have something to do, go ahead. I'll just walk around by myself." Ling Xiao said indifferently, "It's just a formation trap. It can't do anything to me. If I really die, it won't implicate you, senior brother." How arrogant! That person suddenly released his martial soul, and a pitch-black shadow appeared behind him. Then, a terrifying aura rushed towards Ling Xiao. This aura was clearly trying to suppress Ling Xiao and make Ling Xiao submit and listen to him obediently. However, facing this terrifying aura, Ling Xiao's expression was still indifferent. As usual, he didn't seem to be affected at all. This made the man's face darken. He said coldly, "You don't know what's good for you. Since that's the case, you can leave by yourself." After saying that, he turned and left. When he came, he was a black shadow. When he left, he was still a black shadow. When this guy left, he deliberately activated the formations along the way in an attempt to make Ling Xiao unable to follow him. One had to know that there was a distance of at least 1,000 meters from the main entrance to the inner hall. Within this distance of 1,000 meters, all kinds of formations were intertwined and extremely complicated. If one was trapped by one of the formations, it was possible that one would be doomed eternally. This person obviously felt that Ling Xiao wasn't willing to submit to him and was a little angry. He did this on purpose and made Ling Xiao suffer a great loss. Then, Ling Xiao would definitely bow down and listen to him. After a while, he arrived at the entrance of the inner hall. Then he muttered to himself coldly, "You don't know what's good for you. You just stepped into the upper 8 Immortal Mountain, and you dare to be so presumptuous in front of me. This time, under the layers of formations, can you still make it here alive?" "Of course I'm still alive. This mere array formation of the inner hall is nothing in my eyes." Suddenly, a voice came from the front. Chapter 24:18. The Dark Warrior had been mocking Ling Xiao in his heart, wanting to see Ling Xiao make a fool of himself. But now he saw Ling Xiao walk out of the array unscathed. He couldn't laugh at all. "You!" The dark race martial artist wanted to say something, but he couldn't find the words to say. He was too shocked to say anything. Although he had heard that Ling Xiao was good at arrays, he didn't expect him to be so good at them. It was like he was treating the arrays of the inner hall like child's play. Wasn't this too terrifying? No wonder young Master Fei Tian wants this kid dead. It doesn't seem unreasonable. If this kid continues to grow like this, he'll become a strong opponent of young Master Fei Tian. He already has Dark Gold, Dark Knight, and Dark Knight. There can't be another Ling Xiao. Since the array can't kill him, I'll have to do it myself. Thinking of this, Su Mo smiled cruelly. Yes, he was Su Mo, the warrior who occupied the number 1 position in the outer clan. He was 30 years old. Although he had always been the number 1 in the outer clan, he was still looked down upon by many inner clan disciples. Most importantly, his cultivation level was only at the peak of the 3rd level of hell of the Yin Yang realm. He wanted to kill Ling Xiao not just because of Fei Tian's order. Of course, he also felt that Ling Xiao should be killed. If Ling Xiao died, his number one position wouldn't be coveted. Tell me, are you the number one in the outer clan, Su Mo? Who the hell sent you? What do you want? I don't think Vice Hall Master Fei Tian would send someone to greet me. Ling Xiao looked coldly at the unfamiliar face in front of him. Of all the outer clan disciples, only Su Mo didn't have a portrait, so he didn't recognize him. But he could guess. Kid, you ask too many questions. I'm too lazy to answer. Since Su Mo had already made up his mind to kill, he wouldn't answer any of Ling Xiao's questions. After all, this was the inner hall of rewards the good and punishes the evil. Although there was no one here for the time being, there was no guarantee that no one would pass by later. If he couldn't kill Ling Xiao quickly, it would be very troublesome. Wang. Su Mo rushed forward, his hands turning into black palms, and the shadow martial spirit behind him merged into his palms. This caused the pair of palms to bring about a raging wind, an elemental energy storm. Like a bloodthirsty beast, he charged towards Ling Xiao. Each of the palm shadows was powerful enough to turn those giant guards into minced meat. Brat, you can only blame your bad luck. Why is your talent so outstanding? Why did you offend someone you shouldn't have offended? Don't blame me if you die. I'm only doing this for the bounty. Just go. Su Mo's expression became incomparably ferocious. His whole body merged with the pitch-black shadow martial spirit, appearing strange and powerful. Although he was an outsider because he was the number one outsider, he naturally received some benefits. The dark shadow martial spirit was given to him by the Dark Ones. It was extremely powerful. Faced with Su Mo's sudden attack, Ling Xiao did not panic. He had long felt that there was something wrong with this guy, so he had been gathering his strength the moment he stepped out of the door. At this time, facing Su Mo's attack, he was naturally not afraid and was about to counterattack. All of a sudden, in the quiet courtyard, a bright sword light suddenly attacked. This sword light passed by in the blink of an eye. The terrifying palm shadows released by Su Mo were all petrified and then fell to the ground. To be able to petrify elemental energy and energy, this kind of strength was really terrifying. Soon after, a figure arrived. Su Mo, you really have guts. You actually dare to make a move in the inner hall of the Hall of Virtue and Punishment for Vice. And don't you know, Ling Xiao is my man. This voice was as cold as frost, with a bit of majesty as sharp as the sword light. Those who heard it felt a chill run down their spines. Lin Ruoxian. Su Mo's face suddenly changed, and he turned to escape. What a joke! Lin Ruoxian was one of the top geniuses in the entire Upper 8 Immortal Mountain. There was no way he could be his opponent. But at this time, how could he escape? Under the pressure of Lin Ruoxian's powerful aura, Su Mo's legs suddenly weakened, and he fell to the ground, his face ugly. He knew that Lin Ruoxian was strong, but he did not expect Lin Ruoxian to be so strong. This was too terrifying. He couldn't even run away. Lin Ruoxian, don't blame me. This is not what I want to do. This Ling Xiao offended young Master Fei Tian, and it was he who sent word that all Dark Clan members who killed Ling Xiao would be greatly rewarded. You should know that young Master Fei Tian has the support of young Master Lin Yu Tian. Do you dare to go against young Master Fei Tian's wishes? You know best what kind of character he has. I advise you not to stay with this boy anymore. If you really offend young Master Fei Tian, no one can save you. At the thought of the young sect master who was as strong as the rising sun, Su Mo suddenly calmed down. He was even a little fearless. Young Master Lin Yuetian was a legend in the 8 Immortal City, a legend. His heaven-defying talent had always been spoken of. Although the geniuses of the 8 great clans were competing with him, no one had heard of anyone who could defeat him. Mo Feiyu could not, and Ming could not, Yu Wuzuan could not, and Lin Ruoxian naturally could not. Deacon Ruoxian, why are you here? Seeing Lin Ruoxian, Ling Xiao was quite excited. Although he was hated by Fei Tian because of Lin Ruoxian, this matter had nothing to do with Lin Ruoxian. He was still able to sort out his hatred. He clearly remembered the number of times Lin Ruoxian had helped him. If he cut off contact with Lin Ruoxian because of other people's threats, then he, Ling Xiao, would be too cowardly. Coincidentally, I also came to exchange something. Lin Ruoxian smiled sweetly at Ling Xiao without her usual coldness. Then she looked coldly at Suemo and said, "Young master?" "He wouldn't go against me, Lin Ruoxian, for an Feitian. Suemo, you tried to hurt my friend, so I gave face to the young master. I won't kill you, but I'll leave one of your eyes as a lesson so that you won't do such a stupid thing in the future." It could be heard that Lin Ruoxian was still somewhat afraid of young master Lin Yuetian. With her personality, she would definitely not let Suemo go, but now she only wanted one eye. Even so, Suemo was still shocked. The eye was the window to the soul. Once it was dug out, the soul would be hurt. He looked at Lin Ruoxian in shock and said, "If you dare to attack me, young Master Feitian will not let you go. The sect will not let you go either. I am young Master Feitian's man and also the young master's man. If you dare to touch me, you will regret it. If I don't even leave one of your eyes, then how can I, Lin Ruoxian, stand in front of my friends?" Lin Ruoxian said coldly, "Show me your eye." She did not waste any more words. Suddenly, she drew her sword, and the cold sword chi pierced toward Sumo's right eye. Chapter 24:19. Bam! How could Suemo just sit there and wait for death? He used all his strength to release his powerful martial soul. A giant black axe flew out from his storage ring and blocked in front of him. Although he was sent flying by the ferocious sword radiance, at least his eyes were saved. It's useless to resist. If you dare to attack, don't blame me for accidentally taking both your eyes. Lin Ruoxian's expression was cold. He shook the long sword in his hand, and sword chi swept out. But it was completely different from Ling Xiao's sword chi. Ling Xiao's sword chi was domineering and arrogant. It was the sword chi of a king, the sword chi of a tyrant. Lin Ruoxian's sword chi was free and easy. It was ever-changing like flowing water. She did not release her martial soul because there was no need to. Against Suemo, she only needed to use her sword techniques. Several sword chi were released at the same time, each with a threatening sharpness. Suemo was sent flying again, and the giant black axe in his hand was knocked away. However, at this time, Sumo's vicious eyes were looking at Ling Xiao. He was no match for Lin Ruoxian, but he wanted to use Ling Xiao as a hostage to make Lin Ruoxian hesitate. A black shadow rushed out from behind him and turned into a ferocious beast. In the blink of an eye, it was behind Ling Xiao. "Lin Ruoxian, if you insist on forcing me, then I won't hold back. Since you want my eyes, I'll kill your so-called good friend and make you suffer." Sumo's expression was terrifying as he laughed sinisterly. "If you dare touch him, I'll kill you." Lin Ruoxian only wanted one of Sumo's eyes, but Suemo dared to threaten Ling Xiao's life. She released a giant white snake martial soul behind her. This was her earliest martial soul, the white snake martial soul. As for the snake-haired martial soul, it was awakened later. This made her one of the heirs to the snake clan. However, she was more comfortable with the white snake martial soul, so she released it now to kill Suemo. "Deacon Ruoxian, don't worry. With his strength, he won't be able to kill me." Ling Xiao didn't want Lin Ruoxian to offend the young master because of him, so he decided to deal with Suemo himself. Since Suemo had already decided to kill him, there was no need for him to be merciful. After saying that, Ling Xiao released his aura and entered the demonic tyrant blood dragon martial spirit's incarnation. Devil Dragon Blood Curse. Ling Xiao really liked this move now. As long as one's strength was similar to his, or even slightly stronger than him, they would be affected by the demonic dragon blood curse. Their chi and blood would not flow smoothly, and even attacking him would be difficult, let alone killing him. As for those whose cultivation levels were lower than his, once the devil dragon blood curse was unleashed, they would most likely turn into a dried corpse in an instant. Su Mo had hoped that his martial soul would be able to kill Ling Xiao. However, he had not expected this. As soon as he released his martial spirit, he felt his qi and blood churning, as if they were about to leave his body. Then he saw Ling Xiao rushing towards him. The sharp dragon claws went straight for his head. Su Mo was quite alert. At this time he managed to avoid being hit in his vitals. However, he still burst out with a scream. Both of his eyes were both plucked out by Ling Xiao's sharp claws. Ling Xiao wanted to continue to attack and kill Su Mo, but at this time another figure appeared. It was the Dark Tribe's elder, the Vice Hall Master of the Inner Hall, Yi Wuliang. Little guy, when it's possible to let people off, you should be merciful. You've already plucked out his eyes, so let him go. Consider it as giving this old man face. Ling Xiao looked at Yi Wuliang coldly and said, Elder, do you know what he did to me? I know, so I'll do my best to give you what you need next for free. This Su Mo is a good friend of mine, so consider it a deal. Yi Wuliang nodded. Okay, then I'll give you face. If you didn't want to kill him, then so be it. Su Mo's eyes were already gone anyway. These eyes were different from arms and other things. Once they were plucked out, there was basically no way to regrow them. Unless they were replaced with another pair of eyes, the success rate was extremely low. Su Mo's eyes were bleeding, but he still shouted savagely, Ling Xiao, you're ruthless enough. This old man won't let you go. From today onwards, we'll fight to the death. Still not leaving? Yi Wuliang frowned and said, Su Mo knew very well that if he stayed here, he wouldn't be able to keep his life. Helplessly, he could only suppress his anger and turn to flee. Ling Xiao, I didn't expect you to become so strong in just a few days. I'm really shocked. It seems that before long, there will be a place for you among the geniuses of 8 Immortal Mountain. Lin Ruoxian looked at Ling Xiao and said excitedly, Yi Wuliang thought to himself, no wonder my brother No Light in the Night wanted to take this kid as his foster son. This kid really does have the ability. He was also very surprised that Ling Xiao could become so strong. This was something he didn't expect at all. Thank you for the praise, Deacon Ruoxian. Actually, I was just lucky. After killing the Black Wolf General, I found something in White Wolf City that helped me achieve a breakthrough in my cultivation. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Okay, then you can follow Master Yi Wuliang to get the thing. I'll leave first. If you have any problems in the future, you can find me at the Snake Tribe. I'll definitely help you. Lin Ruoxian also had urgent matters to attend to. If she hadn't seen Ling Xiao in danger, she wouldn't have wasted time to help. Only Ling Xiao or her family had the right to make her put aside her urgent matters and stop. Deacon Ruoxian, if you have urgent matters, you can leave first. Ling Xiao nodded and said, Goodbye. Lin Ruoxian turned and left. Let's go, young man. Follow this old man. In this inner hall, if you see anything you like, as long as it's not too expensive, this old man will buy it for you. I'll keep my promise, but it can only be one thing. Yi Wuliang was a man of his word. After Lin Ruoxian left, he said to Ling Xiao, Yes, Senior Elder. Ling Xiao was secretly delighted. He let go of a piece of trash that he could kill at any time in exchange for a free item. This was definitely a good deal. Moreover, he also gave Yi Wuliang face. He believed that if Yi Wuliang encountered any problems in the future, he would have to take care of him. This wasn't just a small benefit. There were many benefits. As Yi Wuliang stepped into the trading area, Ling Xiao immediately heard many whispers. Everyone was surprised. Why would a Vice Hall Master walk together with a disciple who had just ascended to Upper 8 Immortal Mountain? There were envious people. There were jealous people. There were also confused people. The structure of the inner hall is similar to the outer hall. For this, the disciples who have just ascended to Upper 8 Immortal Mountain can exchange things, so the structure hasn't changed. It's the same where you look for things in the past. Yi Wuliang didn't care about the discussions. He explained as he walked. Understood. Ling Xiao nodded. Actually, as soon as he entered, he noticed that apart from the fact that the quality of the items here was better, he didn't find any difference from the outer hall. Chapter 24:20. Go and look for it if you understand. I will wait for you here. Come and find me when you are done. Yi Wuliang naturally couldn't follow Ling Xiao around blindly. Thank you, Senior Yuan. After bidding farewell to Yi Wuliang, Ling Xiao headed to the medicinal herb exchange. This time, besides purchasing the necessary medicinal herbs for alchemy, he intended to use his remaining contribution points to exchange for soul treasures. Yuan venerates needed large amounts of soul treasures to help him decipher the secret of the Dark Sword Immortal diagram. He believed that it would be worth it. Not only could this strengthen the soul of a Yuan venerate, but it could also help him complete the tasks he needed to complete. This was killing two birds with one stone. Master, there is a sword soul stone. Can you help me get it? Suddenly, Shen Dian's voice came from the storage ring. Sword soul stone. Ling Xiao noticed that there was a gemstone shaped like a broken sword in the medicinal herb exchange. He had heard of this sword soul stone before, but had never seen it before. It was said that possessing a sword soul stone could strengthen the power of a sword martial soul. It could also make a sword martial soul stronger. Ling Xiao didn't have much use for this item, so he asked Xin Dian out of curiosity what she wanted it for. Master, with a sword soul stone, I can replenish my soul power and even condense a physical body. Although I can't exist for a long time, I can come out of this secret technique to help you in the future. Xin Dian said excitedly. Ling Xiao had seen Xin Dian's appearance before, but he had seen her in the secret technique through his soul power. He wondered how beautiful Xin Dian would be if she could really return to her human form. Upon seeing Ling Xiao in a daze, Xin Dian thought that he was hesitating. Thus she added, Master, if you save me, I will remember your kindness for the rest of my life. It's just a small matter. You don't have to be so serious. In fact, you saved my life when you imparted the violent thunder technique and the lava storm to me. Wouldn't I, Ling Xiao, be an ungrateful person if I couldn't even bear to give you a sword soul stone? Although the divine grimoire did not appear often, the two secret techniques that she had imparted to Ling Xiao had allowed Ling Xiao to preserve his life and defeat his enemies in the previous assessment. How could Ling Xiao forget this kindness? I'll take this. I'll ask Grand Elder Evernight for it. Ling Xiao thought for a while and then left the medicinal herbs exchange. Are you sure you want this sword soul stone? This thing is very expensive. Boundless Knight frowned. What's wrong? Senior Doyen can't give it to me for free? It doesn't matter. If I need contribution points, I can earn them. If I need spirit stones, I can earn them too. Ling Xiao said, Do you know that this sword soul stone costs 400 million low-grade spiritual stones? Even I can't get so many low-grade spirit stones in such a short time. Boundless Knight sighed. What's even more troublesome is that aside from paying the money, you also have to unconditionally complete 3 tasks for the clan. All of them are troublesome tasks that you can't even imagine. Can you do them? I can. Ling Xiao nodded. Compared to helping the divine grimoire, this little trouble was nothing to him. The divine grimoire wasn't just a good teacher and helpful friend. Moreover, the divine grimoire was his savior. If he couldn't do such a simple task, wouldn't all his previous bold words be useless? You have to think clearly. This sword soul stone is very precious to warriors who have sword martial spirits. However, it is not worth it for you to use it like this. Boundless Knight reminded him. I've thought it through. Ling Xiao nodded. Forget it. I promised you. How about this? I'll help you pay half of the 400 million low-grade spiritual stones, and you pay the other half. As for the 3 tasks, I'll help you complete 2 of them. You only need to complete 1. I believe that those guys in the sect will be happy to do it. After all, I can do more than you. Are you satisfied? Boundless Knight asked with a smile. Senior Doyen, thank you so much. Don't be in such a hurry to thank me. After all, This Sword Soul Stone is a treasure. There are only 3 pieces in the entire inner hall. If you want to get it, you have to meet the requirements and apply for a spot from the hall master. But don't worry, with me here, the hall master will give you face. You can go back first and wait for my good news. Boundless Knight said, "No problem. Thank you, Senior Doyen." Originally, Ling Xiao felt close to Boundless Knight because he was Boundless Knight's elder brother. Now, after this incident, he had a good impression of Boundless Knight. "Okay, then I'll go and find the hall master. If you have nothing else, you can go back first. You injured in Feitian. I'm afraid that many people will find trouble with you. These days, there's no shortage of flatterers." Heaving a sigh, Boundless Knight turned and left. Ling Xiao also left with the materials he exchanged. "Master, you've been so good to the Divine Grimoire. The Divine Grimoire will not forget." The Divine Grimoire said excitedly as soon as he left the inner hall. "If you want to thank me, you have to wait until you get the item." Ling Xiao chuckled. "Furthermore, you keep calling me master. If I don't even help you with such a small matter, wouldn't I be a little too cowardly as a master?" The Divine Grimoire was touched, but some words were meaningless. She would remember it in her heart. No matter what happened in the future, she would remember Ling Xiao's kindness. Ling Xiao naturally didn't know what the Divine Grimoire was thinking. He just walked towards the mountain where the Dark Tribe lived. He had just reached the foot of the mountain when he suddenly stopped on a deserted forest path. "There's really a lot of trouble today. Did I beat up in Feitian or poke a hornet's nest? Come out." Ling Xiao's spirit power was very strong, coupled with the presence of a Yuan Venerate and the Divine Grimoire. Almost no one could avoid his senses. "Not bad, kid. You actually discovered us." As they spoke, 8 people walked out of the forest. Ling Xiao recognized all 8 of them. Weren't they the people who had stopped him at the entrance of the inner hall and then left? That condescending, arrogant, and rude look was something that would never be forgotten. They looked at Ling Xiao mockingly. Even a fool would know that they were looking for trouble. Naturally, there was a leader among the 8 of them. Based on his attire, he seemed to be a member of the Dark Tribe. However, Ling Xiao didn't recognize him. Instead, this person walked out with a smile and looked down at Ling Xiao. "Do you know who I am?" This fellow's cultivation wasn't bad. He was only 1 grade lower than in Feitian's. He was at the late stage of the 3rd level of the yin-yang boundary, so his aura was much stronger than the others. His arrogance was also a notch higher. "I don't know." Ling Xiao replied faintly. "You don't even know young Master and Farron? You are indeed a frog in a well. This is young Master and Feitian's younger brother." Chapter 24-21. Don't be so fierce. You'll scare this kid again. And Farron waved his hand as if he was the boss. He looked at Ling Xiao and said, "Kid, we're not looking for trouble with you this time. It's just that you've been a little rude to us before. How about this? You'll follow me and help me clean up the latrine. Once you're done, I'll reward you handsomely." Ha! As soon as Farron finished speaking, there was a burst of crazy laughter. Obviously, they were mocking Ling Xiao. "Do you think you're worthy?" Ling Xiao looked at Farron indifferently and said, "Go back and take a piss and look at yourself. See if you're better looking than others. Even in Feitian was injured by me. Who do you think you are? How dare you ask me to clean your latrine?" Naturally, he did not put these people in his eyes. He even dared to beat up in Feitian. These people were nothing. Now that his strength had increased, there was no need for him to be afraid. Looking at these people, Ling Xiao did not need to think too much to know that it was Feitian who had arranged this, including the giant guard, Suemo, and these 8 people. This Feitian's moves really came one after another. "What did you say?" And Farron was stunned. The other 7 people were also stunned. They thought that in front of the 8 of them, Ling Xiao would definitely be submissive and obedient. They did not expect Ling Xiao to be so arrogant. His attitude was even more arrogant than theirs. "I think you're courting death, And Farron had always thought that Ling Xiao was able to injure Infatian because of a sneak attack and because Infatian had underestimated him. In fact, Elder Hua and the Dark Knight tribe leader said so. It could not be false. Therefore, he felt that Ling Xiao was not Infatian's match. Similarly, he was not his match either. After all, Ling Xiao had just ascended from the lower 8 Immortal Mountain. How powerful could he be? As he spoke, he released his powerful aura and released his dark shadow martial spirit. It was very similar to Su Mo's, but not as strong as Su Mo's. However, it was pure. This aura was like a black devil rushing towards Ling Xiao, wanting to teach Ling Xiao a lesson. Brat, I originally only wanted you to clean the latrines, but seeing how arrogant you are, you don't even put me in your eyes. I've decided not to let you clean the latrine. In the future, you will sleep in the outhouse. If you dare to be stupid, this young master will destroy you. This was a long way from the inner hall of the Hall of Good and Punishment of Evil. They were already in the territory of the Dark Ones. Therefore, Farron was naturally not afraid of Ling Xiao. However, before his aura could even get close to Ling Xiao, it was shattered into pieces. You still dare to fight back? And Farron was even more annoyed. Suddenly, he waved his palm, bringing with it a burst of black wind. It was like the autumn wind sweeping away the fallen leaves. It blasted towards Ling Xiao's head. The rest of the youths were shouting and cheering. You dare to bully me with your mediocre skills? If I don't show you who's boss, you won't know that I have 3 eyes. Ling Xiao frowned and suddenly took a step forward. He didn't use any incarnation, nor did he use any martial technique. He just casually pointed out with his finger, and a sword light like aura shot out from his sword. It was pure energy, but it condensed into sword aura. The sword aura shot out from the tip of his finger and pierced in Farron's palm, and Farron cried out in pain. Ling Xiao's face showed a hint of coldness and mockery. You think a piece of trash like you can stay in the inner clan? You're just relying on the fact that you're the child of the clan leader's concubine. Ling Xiao mocked. How is this possible? It hurts. Aren't you only at the late stage of the first transformation, 2nd level of hell? And Farron found it hard to believe that his palm had been pierced through. As the strongest person here, he had been defeated by Ling Xiao in one move. The rest of them wouldn't be able to do the same. At this moment, he wasn't thinking about fear, but about humiliation. The other 7 youths here were all inner clan members, and they were on good terms with him. He had wanted to show off his power in front of these people and use Ling Xiao as a stepping stone. Who would have thought that he would be the first to be injured? Young Master Farron, can you do it? That's right, young Master Farron. Don't joke around. Is that kid really that powerful? If you can't do it, why don't you let us do it? A few youths egged Farron on. This made Farron, who had planned to stop, even angrier. He almost lost his mind. He started to numb himself and comfort himself. He thought that he had underestimated Ling Xiao and that he hadn't used his full strength. Kid, you dare to fight back. Good, very good. Today, I'll let you know that the inner clan and outer clan are not on the same level. Die. At this moment, Farron had completely lost his mind. He couldn't think of anything else. His mind was filled with rage. He only wanted to kill Ling Xiao to save his face. His hands formed claws in front of him, and the shadow martial spirit behind him took the shape of a tiger. It was obvious that he was going to use his martial skill. Of course, it wouldn't be a weak martial skill. Every disciple of the upper 8 Immortal Mountain knew a high-tier jade martial skill. It was just that they were of different grades. Dark Beast King Fist, Tiger Swallowing Stance. With a roar, the tiger formed from the shadows behind him also pounced towards Ling Xiao. Within the shadow of the fist, there was a ferocious tiger head. Looking at its power, it was really powerful. A high-tier jade martial skill. It's a waste to use it in the hands of a piece of trash like you. Ling Xiao looked at his opponent with disdain. He didn't use his martial spirit transformation. nor did he use his body. He could use his physical strength to suppress this piece of trash. Although Inferin was also a reincarnation realm martial artist, he had probably cultivated to the reincarnation realm under the protection of others. His combat experience was too poor. Fine, I'll play with you. Ling Xiao had just learned the 1,000-Mile Wolf, a top-tier jade martial skill. He hadn't practiced it in a real battle yet. Naturally, he wanted to practice it this time. After all, his opponent couldn't pose a threat to him. There shouldn't be any problems playing with him. 1,000-Mile Wolf, Lone Wolf. Following the activation of the 1,000-Mile Wolf, Ling Xiao instantly appeared behind Inferin. What? Inferin spent a lot of energy to throw a punch, and it landed on the ground. He couldn't even catch Ling Xiao's shadow. Just as he was about to look for Ling Xiao, he suddenly felt a terrifying aura coming from behind him. He hurriedly turned around and threw a punch. However, there was still no sign of anyone. Bastard, where the hell are you? Don't hide! And Inferin was scared out of his wits. Encountering an opponent that he couldn't catch was a nightmare for him. Well, aren't I here now? Chapter 24-22. Ling Xiao suddenly appeared in front of Inferin, and Inferin was overjoyed. If it had been any other direction, it would have been difficult for him to seize the opportunity. Now that it was coming from the front, it was the perfect opportunity for him to attack. You asked for it. He was originally terrified, afraid that he would be ambushed by Ling Xiao like in Feiqian. He did not expect Ling Xiao to be such an idiot, coming directly to him to ask for a beating. And Inferin roared angrily and attacked with all his might. At such a close distance, he did not believe that he could not hit Ling Xiao. However, dreams were always beautiful. Reality was cruel. Ling Xiao, who was charging at him from the front, disappeared in an instant. Because Inferin had used too much strength, he charged forward without any support and was about to fall. However, he still had some skills. Under such circumstances, he believed that he could support his body and not fall flat on his face. Young Master Inferin, be careful! At this moment, a few exclamations came from behind. He did not have time to react. He felt his butt being kicked, and then he could no longer maintain his balance. His face fell to the ground. "Ha! With your little strength, you dare to make me stay in the outhouse." Ling Xiao's cold and mocking voice rang out behind Inferin, and Inferin knew that things were not going well. Just as he was about to get up, he suddenly felt a foot stepping on his head, making him unable to move. "Let go of young Master Inferin, or we won't be polite." When the others saw the situation, although they were shocked, they knew that they could not sit idly by. If Inferin was humiliated, it meant that they were humiliated as well. How could they tolerate it? "I will humiliate him. I won't let him go. What can you do?" Ling Xiao looked at these people mockingly, finding it hilarious. How dare any Tom, Dick, and Harry bully him? They were asking for death. "Brothers, go. Save young Master Inferin." The 7 of them wanted to run, but if anything happened to Inferin, they would all be punished. Besides, with 7 people against 1 person, they didn't believe that they couldn't beat Ling Xiao. Therefore, the 7 of them rushed towards Ling Xiao to rescue Inferin. Ling Xiao let out a cold laugh. A shocking, thunderous glow burst out from his body, which transformed into 7 lightning bolts that struck the 7 cultivators. The 7 fellows seemed to be frozen in place. All of them were charred black, and black smoke was coming out of their 7 orifices. "Move again, and I'll kill you." Ling Xiao's voice was filled with cold killing intent. The 7 fellows were so scared that they stood there, not daring to move. Then he lifted Inferin up and brought him to a nearby latrine. Then he pressed Inferin into the latrine. "Doesn't it feel good? Brat, I'll spare your life today. Next time it won't be so easy. If you dare to cause trouble for me again, I'll take your dog life." After leaving Inferin beside the toilet, Ling Xiao turned around and left. And Inferin lay there, his whole body stinking, and he was still trembling. He was so angry that he wanted to commit suicide. A long time after Ling Xiao left, He got up and ran to Hidden Flower's courtyard. That was where Hidden Flower resided. And Farron knew that he wasn't a match for Ling Xiao, so he had to find help. And Hidden Flower was his greatest support. At this moment, Ling Xiao had already returned to his small wooden house. Sure enough, after hanging the sign, no one dared to approach the wooden hut. Lin Yang and Qingwan Hua were cultivating in peace. Ling Xiao had also given the spirit treasures to the Yuan Venerate so that he could study the secrets of the dark sword immortal diagram. He was still cultivating the wolf traversing 1,000 miles movement technique. This movement technique was very special. Most movement techniques only had one move. However, the wolf traversing 1,000 miles movement technique had 9 moves. The first move was lone wolf traversing. It was fast and unpredictable. The second move was double wolf traversing. It could create a clone that was almost no different from the real body. Besides the benefits of the first move, it could also confuse the opponent. According to No Light in the Night, the wolf traversing 1,000 miles movement technique had been in the Dark Tower for decades. In these decades, only one person had been able to cultivate the first move to the Great Perfection realm within a year. Within 3 years, there were only a mere 10 people who were able to master the 2 styles. Up until now, no one had been able to cultivate all 9 moves to the Great Perfection realm. Therefore, No Light in the Night had told Ling Xiao to give up on cultivating this movement technique, as it would be a waste of time. Ling Xiao naturally wouldn't listen to him. Why wouldn't he cultivate a top-notch jade-grade movement technique after much difficulty? Moreover, he believed that with his talent and comprehension, he would definitely surprise No Light in the Night. After the actual combat practice just now, Ling Xiao had a deeper understanding of the first move, lone wolf traversing. This would be very helpful for him to cultivate lone wolf traversing to the Great Perfection realm. Therefore, he pondered in the room. However, it was only a mere 20 minutes. A strong and hostile aura appeared in the wooden house. This aura seems to be Elder Hidden Flower. Looks like that Braden Farron didn't learn his lesson at all. He actually dared to complain. Ling Xiao sneered. The next time he saw in Farron, he would definitely make him eat *T again. Ling Xiao, you little thief, get out here. It was indeed Hidden Flower. Hidden Flower originally wanted to destroy Ling Xiao's wooden house as soon as she arrived to give Ling Xiao a show of strength. However, there was a formation set up around the wooden house. Her palm attack didn't have much effect. It only made the wooden house creak, but it didn't collapse. Therefore, she could only roar. How angry was she? This Ling Xiao, a mere outsider who had just joined the Dark Clan for 2 days, actually stabbed her beloved and Fei Tian first. Then, he humiliated Farron. Did he really think that there was no one in the Dark Clan? Ling Xiao sneered and let Qingwan and Lin Yang continue to cultivate. He walked out of the wooden house alone, but he didn't leave the formation. He wasn't stupid. Hidden Flower was so strong that he definitely wasn't her opponent. If she wanted to kill him, there probably wouldn't be enough time to save him. He wanted to see how this old woman would deal with him if he stayed in the formation. Isn't this Elder Hidden Flower? Why do you have time to come to my wooden house? Ling Xiao looked at Hidden Flower and smiled. Brat, don't play dumb. Did you pin Farron in the latrine? Hidden Flower said angrily. It seems like that really happened. Ling Xiao nodded. It's good that you admit it. Brat, I can tell at a glance that you're not a good person. Not only did you humiliate Farron, but you also mocked me. If I don't kill you today, I won't be able to take it lying down. Hidden Flower said angrily. Hearing Hidden Flower's words, Ling Xiao understood that Dark Farron had not only complained, but had also added fuel to the fire. Chapter 24-23. Dark Farron's words were just an excuse for Hidden Flower. Ling Xiao's explanation was useless. She definitely wouldn't listen. So what if I humiliated him? He's a piece of trash who's almost 18 years old. How can he be so useless? That's fine. I won't laugh at him if his aptitude isn't good enough. But he came out to show off. He's arrogant and despotic. If I don't teach him a lesson, who should I teach? Ling Xiao looked at Hidden Flower and sneered. Okay. You said it all. You admitted it all. In that case, I'm too lazy to talk nonsense with you. From today onwards, you, Ling Xiao, will be responsible for cleaning the entire Dark Tribe's toilets. You're not allowed to sleep or cultivate until you're done. Hidden Flower roared. What if I don't agree? Ling Xiao sneered. If he really listened to this old woman, then he could forget about cultivating in the future. What was the use of joining the Dark Tribe after ascending to 8 Immortal Mountain? He might as well go back to Onyx Immortal Mountain. So he couldn't agree at all. You don't agree? If you don't agree, then go back to Onyx Immortal Mountain. Hidden Flower roared. What a joke! Do you think I'll leave just because you tell me to? Are there any rules in 8 Immortal Mountain? Is there any law? Could it be that you, Elder Hidden Flower, want to cover the sky with one hand? Ling Xiao shouted. Rules? I'm the rule here. If you don't agree, then get lost. Hidden Flower shouted. Haha, Elder Hidden Flower, you're really powerful. Since when do you have the final say in the Dark Tribe's rules? Mocking laughter came from afar. It was Dark Knight who appeared in front of the wooden house. I said before that whoever provokes my disciple provokes me, Dark Knight. Looks like you didn't learn your lesson. Dark Knight landed and suddenly slapped Hidden Flower's face. Get lost. I'll say it one last time. Ling Xiao is my disciple. As long as he doesn't break the rules, I'll deal with whoever touches him. Dark Knight, don't act recklessly just because you're strong. The Dark Tribe isn't a place for you to behave atrociously. Hidden Flower was a little dazed after being slapped. She wanted to fight back, but when she thought of what happened in the sacrificial hall that day, she didn't dare to make a move. At that time, Dark Knight Formless had repelled her with a single move. She had no chance of defeating Dark Knight Formless. I'm atrocious. Dark Knight Formless had gone from being low-key and tolerant in the past to being so domineering today. Ling Xiao almost couldn't recognize him. However, Ling Xiao really liked the current Formless Knight, a man, and in any case, the profound world was a world where one's fist spoke and strength spoke. Talking about other things was useless. Whether it was strength or reason, he would not lose. Good. You're good. Dark Knight, remember to leave a way out for yourself. I'll report this to the Patriarch. Don't regret it then. Hidden Flower's face was burning. She had lost face in front of a group of inner and outer disciples, but there was nothing she could do. Being slapped by the Black Immortal Mountain's Mountain Lord wasn't a good feeling, but she had to endure it. She couldn't help it. She wasn't as strong as him. After speaking, she turned and hurriedly left with Inferin and the others. Mountain Lord, how do you have time to come here? How are Senior Brother and Feng Ru? Ling Xiao was very close to Dark Knight. When he saw Hidden Flower leave, he walked up and asked excitedly, Why, you don't welcome them? Rin Feng and Feng Ru are good. They're very hardworking. Now that you've ascended to the 8 Immortal Mountain, they want to ascend too. Dark Knight smiled and said, It's a pity that I don't have any suitable martial arts to teach them. Sigh, I should have kept more of those ordinary martial arts. It's okay. When I went to the White Wolf County City to kill the Black Wolf General, I happened to get some martial arts. They're all high-tier jade grade, but they're easier to cultivate. As he spoke, Ling Xiao took out a few sets of secret martial arts manuals from his storage ring and handed them to High Formless. Eldest Senior Brother and Feng Ru are my friends, and they are also my Senior Brother and Junior Sister. Let them cultivate in peace and strive to ascend to the 8 Immortal Mountain as soon as possible. Okay, I won't refuse the things you give me. Dark Knight felt more and more that Ling Xiao had chosen the right disciple. Although this child was sometimes very ruthless and cruel, he was very affectionate and righteous. Logically speaking, he was already a disciple of the 8 Immortal Mountain. There was no need for him to care about the matters of the 8 Immortal Mountain. But when he got something good, he still thought of his former friends. Just this thought alone was very touching. Let's go. After taking the things, Dark Knight patted Ling Xiao's shoulder and turned to leave. He came here for no other reason than to help Ling Xiao chase away Hidden Flower. With his cultivation, nothing that happened in the entire 8 Immortal Mountain could escape his eyes. It was just that he didn't care about anything in the past. As soon as Dark Knight left, no light in the night came. Looks like I'm still a step too late. Second brother beat me to it again. Seeing that Ling Xiao was safe and sound, no light in the night, heaved a sigh of relief. But he also felt a little helpless. He had also come to help because he heard that something was wrong. Although he wouldn't chase away Hidden Flower like Dark Knight, he could still ensure that Ling Xiao didn't die. But who knew that Dark Knight would be so proactive? Ling Xiao, on the other hand, found it funny. He used to think that no light in the night was cold and powerful, and he was a bit of a jerk. But after interacting with him for a long time, he realized that this guy was actually a joker. Stop laughing. Didn't you say you wanted to go to the 5th level of the ghost prison? Let's go, I'll take you there now. No light in the night glared at Ling Xiao. Go now. Ling Xiao was a little surprised. How could no light in the night be so decisive? He hadn't even asked for it for a long time, but he had already done it. You don't want to go? Of course. I'll go inform them. Ling Xiao returned to the wooden house and told Qingwan and Lin Yang that he wanted to go to the 5th level of the ghost prison. Then he set off with no light in the night. Remember, the battle for the Shadow Black Gourd will begin in a month's time. You must return before then. If you miss this time, you'll have to wait until next year. It's not worth it. On the way, no light in the night reminded him. Anyway, you've already defeated Su Mo and are now ranked 1st among the foreign races. You've already met this condition. In a month, you can directly participate in the battle for the Shadow Black Gourd. Do you know why Hidden Flower is making trouble for you? Actually, it's mainly because you made her lose face. She said before that it's impossible for you to get 1st place among the foreign races, but you did it in 2 days. It'd be strange if she wasn't angry. How did you know? Ling Xiao asked, a little surprised. My big brother reported it. He was the one who requested that you be ranked 1st among the foreign races. Being able to defeat Su Mo and take away his pair of tricks, you deserve it. Chapter 24. Let me remind you, Ling Xiao. The 5th floor of the ghost prison is different from the other 4 floors. Don't run around after you enter. Follow the map I gave you, or you'll get lost easily. They had arrived at the entrance of the 5th floor of the ghost prison. The portal that was condensed from energy shone with a strange light. It was like a ferocious beast that was eagerly waiting to swallow something. Go on in. I've already informed the guards inside. After you enter, they'll arrange your schedule. Don't waste time. No light in the night looked at Ling Xiao and sighed helplessly. Such a genius. Yet he still couldn't take him in as a foster son. This made him feel rather helpless. Ling Xiao didn't know what he was thinking and directly jumped into the portal. It was different from the 1st and 2nd floors of the ghost prison. The moment Ling Xiao stepped into the 5th floor, he didn't enter the ghost prison directly. Instead, he arrived at a solemn hall. There were many guards in the hall. Every guard's strength was above the peak of the 4th floor of hell. It was indeed the 5th floor of the ghost prison. Even the guards were so strong. It wasn't a place that a disciple of the 8 Immortal Mountain could enter. Seeing Ling Xiao, one of the guards walked over. This person was about 20 years old. His cultivation had reached the early stage of the 5th floor of hell. Although he wasn't a reincarnation realm martial artist, his strength was strong enough. You're Ling Xiao? The person asked. Yes. Ling Xiao nodded. Your aura is different. I heard that you beat up in Fei Tian. Well done. That guy was too cocky. By the way, my name is Hai Changfeng. I'm one of the leaders of the guards here. Lord Wukong and Lord Formless told me about you. Well done. the person said with a smile. It seemed that he was also a member of the dark tribe with the surname Hai. No wonder he treated him well. Greetings, Senior Brother Changfeng. Ling Xiao greeted him again. You don't have to be so polite. I'll take you to the cultivation place. Also, if there's anything you don't understand, feel free to ask. As long as I know, I'll tell you. He Changfeng said with a smile. This person had a cheerful personality and was easy to get along with. Also, if you want to leave the 5th floor of the ghost prison, you can come find me. I will naturally help you leave. Hearing this, Ling Xiao nodded. It seemed that there were some things that he didn't need to worry about. Someone had already arranged it for him. Next, there were only 2 things that he needed to do. One was cultivation. It was said that the 5th floor of Ghost Prison was different from the 4th floor. The spiritual energy here was 100 times denser than the outside world. However, because the density was too high, ordinary martial artists would be crushed to the point of breaking bones or even losing their lives. Therefore, not just anyone could come here to cultivate. Moreover, if the spiritual energy was too abundant, it would cause the body to be unable to bear it. Just like excessive nutrition, it would cause problems. This was also why there were strict requirements for those who entered the 5th floor of the ghost prison. However, Ling Xiao was naturally not afraid of this. His body was stronger than any of the guards here. The other thing he wanted to do was to find Ling Yan and ask him about the situation so that he wouldn't have to run around like a headless fly when he came to rescue him in the future. All right, there are no more questions. I'll bring you on your way. Hai Changfeng said. When you see the real 5th floor of Ghost Prison later, you mustn't be surprised. He smiled, then led Ling Xiao forward. After exiting the main hall and walking for about 500 to 600 meters, Ling Xiao suddenly revealed a look of astonishment. In front of his eyes, there was actually an ocean floating in midair. The sea water was constantly roaring, and some islands dotted the surface of the sea. There were even a few ships cruising on it. This is Ghost Prison's 5th floor. Ling Xiao was really surprised. Although he knew that this was a world inside a Dharma treasure, wasn't it usually land? It was his first time seeing such a huge sea that he couldn't see the end of. Are you very surprised? This place is just like a different world. I really don't know how the martial artist who owned this Dharma treasure cultivated. Hai Changfeng sighed. The present mystic world is actually far from what it used to be. In the past, reincarnation realm martial artists could be seen everywhere. Not to mention First Revolution martial artists, even 10th Revolution martial artists could be seen easily. But now it's really impossible. Fortunately, the mountain river martial spirit has reappeared and brought about another huge change in the mystic world. I can clearly feel that the martial artists of the Black Tortoise continent are constantly recovering. Not to mention Hai Changfeng, even Ling Xiao was also feeling the same. The person who owned this Dharma treasure back then was definitely an extremely terrifying martial artist. All right, let's not express our feelings. Lord Wu Guang should have given you a map, right? Hai Changfeng asked. Yes. Ling Xiao took out the map. It's easy with a map. Do you see this? This is the place you want to go. It's called the Cultivation Channel, also known as the Cultivation Paradise. There are countless islands on the channel. Any island can be used to cultivate, and each island has different effects. Although there are many dangers here, it's much better than the Devil's Sea Domain. The Devil's Sea Domain is at the end of this channel. You must not go there. A group of crazy prisoners are locked up there, and each of them is extremely powerful. They've been exiled there to fend for themselves. Hai Changfeng explained the situation of the 5th floor of the ghost prison to Ling Xiao very seriously. He definitely didn't want Ling Xiao to go to the Devil's Sea Domain. But the more it was so, the more Ling Xiao wanted to go. As the saying goes, curiosity killed the cat. This was probably the reason. Although he knew that it was dangerous, he still had to go. If he didn't go, what would happen to Ling Yan? That was the real reason why he entered the 5th floor of the ghost prison. At this time, Hai Changfeng took out a boat from his storage ring. Although it was called a boat, it was more like a canoe. It was very narrow. If one walked on a small river, they might be able to walk on it. But if one walked on the surface of the sea, they would probably be knocked over very quickly. Ling Shao, the cultivation channel can't be entered by large ships. Only canoes or small boats can enter. So you have to think carefully. This is an extremely dangerous matter. You will have to face huge waves and fierce beasts in the sea. Although we still don't know whether this is a real sea or not, and what will happen if one falls in. However, there were people who fell in before and never came back. We don't know if they died or went to another place. If you want to be a guinea pig, you can try, but I don't recommend you do that. Hai Chongfeng smiled and jumped onto one of the canoes. Then he released his energy under his feet and the canoe quickly moved forward. Ling Shao smiled and jumped on as well. This kind of thing wasn't difficult for him. The moment he stepped on the canoe, he suddenly felt the uniqueness of this sea. It was different from the sea outside. It seemed to be connected.